Welcome to the Vault. Today, Bryan Kohberger attended court in Moscow, Idaho. Said information was revealed, evidence was revealed, and an eyewitness was revealed, one of the roommates. We're going to dissect all of that said information during this live stream. The evidence, the suspect, the motive, the eyewitnesses. How does his parents feel now with the information being revealed about their son and the evidence? Do they still support him now that all the information has come forward? How does he feel now? Many speculated that he wanted to return to Moscow so he could hear the evidence against himself, and now he has. And I'm sure he has realized that he left a blueprint, that he did not plan this crime out thoroughly. If indeed it was a plan, Bryan did not plan it thoroughly. He left a blueprint. He left an eyewitness, shoe print, DNA. A motive was not revealed in the arrest warrant. So what was the motive? And was there a target? And how long had he been following these people at this home or the target? And had this been going on since possibly August? Thank you for joining me. This is The Vault. Thank you, sweetheart. This is information coming from the court. Law and Crime is the source. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
We are on the record in the second judicial district, Baytown County. This is the magistrate sitting in the district court. This is State of Idaho versus Bryan C. Kohberger, cause number CR 29222805. Mr. Kohberger is present in court. He is in custody. He is appearing with his attorney, Ms. Taylor, Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings on behalf of the state. This is the time set in the matter for initial appearance.
Hello.
Mr. Kohberger, I am going to advise you of the rights that you have in this case. I am going to go over the criminal complaint with you, and then we're going to discuss setting the matter for further hearing. You have the following rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to the presumption of innocence. That means the state bears the burden to prove that you are guilty of this offense beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to a preliminary hearing. A preliminary hearing is a probable cause hearing. At that hearing, the state must establish that more likely.
This came just in time.
Sorry about that. I knew that was coming. They've got commercials in here. Sorry about that.
That more likely than not, these felony offenses were committed, and you were the one that committed the felony offenses. You have a right to have that hearing within 14 days if you remain in custody. If you are bound over at that preliminary hearing to district court, if the court finds probable cause, you would be bound over to district court. And at that time, you can enter a plea of not guilty, and you can have a jury trial set within 6 months of your appearance in district court. At both your preliminary hearing and your jury trial, you have the right to confront and question any evidence or witnesses called against you. Call witnesses on your own behalf, and compel witnesses to be present and testify at the state's expense. You have the right to be represented by a lawyer. If you cannot afford one could be appointed to represent you based upon your financial need. You also have the right to appeal any conviction in your case. Do you understand these rights?
Yes.
I am now going to go over the criminal complaint with you. Count 1 of the criminal complaint charges you with the felony offense of burglary. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th of 2022, in Baytown County, State of Idaho, did unlawfully enter a residence located at 1122 Keene Road, Moscow, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder, in violation of Idaho Code 18-1401 and 1403. The maximum penalty for that offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is not less than 1 year in prison, no more than 10 years in prison, and or a $50,000 fine or both. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 2 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13, 2022, in Lake County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being, by stabbing Madison Mogan, from which she died, in violation of Idaho Code 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. The maximum penalty for this offense, if you were to plead guilty or be found guilty, is death or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 3 alleges that you committed a felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Lake County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Kaylee Gonsalves, a human being, by stabbing Kaylee Gonsalves, from which she died, in violation of Idaho Code 18-4001, 4002, 4003, 4004. Again, the maximum penalty for that offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is death and or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 4 alleges that you committed a felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Lake County, Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being, by stabbing Xana Kernodle, from which she died, in violation of Idaho Code 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. Again, the maximum penalty for that offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is up to death and or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 5 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Lake County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being, by stabbing Ethan Chapin, from which he died, in violation of Idaho Codes 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. And again, the maximum penalty for this offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is up to death and imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
And Mr. Kohberger, would you like to represent yourself, hire a lawyer, or see if you qualify for court-appointed counsel?
I have court-appointed counsel.
Court has reviewed your application for attorney at public expense. I do find that you are indigent and do qualify for court-appointed counsel. I will appoint Ms. Taylor to represent you in this case. Ms. Taylor, have you had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Kohberger about speedy preliminary hearing and setting this matter?
Your Honor, I have, we would ask the court to set the status hearing in a week to make a final.
Okay. And Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings, are in agreement with that?
That's fine.
It's coming later, believe me. I decided to show my face for this live because some of the commentary you may not like or agree, but it's okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
And we'll go ahead and set the.
All right, brief intermission. What do you mean? That's only certain companies have the issue with law enforcement gathering from Ancestry. 2 has been relayed in my commentary that don't allow it, which is Ancestry.com, but it has been mentioned 2 lower Ancestry entities do allow law enforcement to use their database. And second of all, they did have male DNA. They found the car, linked the car, and also they took DNA through investigative purposes. It is their job to find the DNA. So it's up to the company to decide if they want to coincide with law enforcement to help secure a suspect.
I will go ahead and set this matter for a status hearing then on the calendar on
And let me make another point. They can't access the database without permission. And there's no law saying ancestry DNA cannot be used. And common sense would tell you they are still going to try to get a sample from the suspects even after using an ancestry entity. That's common sense. They're not going to build a case just on ancestral DNA. Thank you for joining me. This is The Vault.
January 12th.
Ooh, stuff in my eye. Sorry.
At 10 o'clock a.m.
Yes, exactly, Mary. They explain everything to you with the ancestral companies.
And then, Ms. Taylor, do you wish to argue bail at this time?
Your Honor, I would like to ask the court to consider setting a bond. Mr. Kohberger right now is on no bond hold. But it's a limited request as I don't have enough information. We are new to the case. We haven't reviewed.
He's rocking back and forth, shaking his head. What a mess.
But we would want the court to know that Mr. Kohberger has a good family.
And Mr. Thompson?
The city's position is that Kohberger is not on this time, entitled on this charges.
Thank you, love. Thank you all for the compliments. Thank you. Happy New Year to everybody.
Under 19-816-19-29 of the code specify that given this case is over at jail, the defendant was arrested 3,000 miles away across the country. We're saying he has to remain in custody.
At this point in time, pursuant to Idaho Criminal 46B and Idaho Code 19-816 and 2903, I am going to leave the bail set in this case as no bail at this point in time until I have additional or further information at a later date and time. So with that, then Mr. Kohberger, you will be remanded in custody, remain in custody on the no bail.
Bad hair.
Is there anything further in the case then for today, Mr. Thompson?
The state is asking for no contact orders for various family members and also
And Taylor, is that correct?
That is correct.
Hello, everybody. Thank you.
So I will go ahead and issue those no contact orders. So I do have a no contact order then for the named individual of Dylan Mortensen, Bethany Funk, as well as the family members and Mr. Chapin, the family members of Ms. Kernodle, It's Mr. and Ms. Laramie, Mr. Mogan, Ms. Cheeley, and then a number of members of the Gonzalez family. Those specific names will certainly be provided to you, Mr. Kohberger, by way of the provided notice of these documents, or a copy of these no contact orders. What you do need to be advised of and what will be in this no contact order is you are prohibited from having any contact with them whatsoever. You cannot contact them through third person, in writing, and by any electronic means. You cannot Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, use your phone to communicate with them, or otherwise any form of communication in direct or indirectly with them. You cannot engage in any conduct that would harass, stop, threaten, use, attempt to use, or threaten to use any physical force or violence upon them, or place them in reasonable fear of bodily injury. You cannot go within or knowing their remain within 300 feet of their person or their home, workplace, or any other place where they might be. There are no exceptions to these orders.
He's not going anywhere to contact anybody. Just they'll give him phone privileges.
At this point in time,
No, I'm going to play. I'm going to read some of it, then I'm going to play other network that will relay it, so I don't take up so much time.
Contact orders for a period of 2 years, and then if it needs to be modified or changed by an additional judge, it can be done so at that time. Is there anything further, Mr. Thompson? Anything further, Mr. Miller? All right, thank you. We are adjourned.
All right, everybody. I'll be playing different information. The information has been released pertaining to how the suspect came to be apprehended. As you hear in this court, first charge is felony burglary, 1 year to 10 years, murder, 4 charges of murder of all the children that were killed inside of the house. He cannot have any contact with their relatives by social media or a third party. There will be a ramification for he or anybody trying to contact, call, message, intimidate, threaten any of the parents or the eyewitnesses, the 2 roommates in the house. There could be no contact. And this will be in order for 2 years, as you heard here in this commentary. 2 years. He is facing life imprisonment or death. This is a death penalty state, Idaho. So we will see as time goes by, will the prosecution offer death in the murders of the 4 individuals? Once again, Idaho is a death penalty state. You hear the judge saying life or death will be your options. 1 to 10 years for the burglary charge. So even with the burglary charge, it means nothing because you went ahead and you killed these people. You killed them instead of just breaking in their house. You killed them. Okay. Let's hear the evidence revealed in the affidavit. Thank you for joining me. Sorry about that. Trying to get it together, you guys. Thank you so much for your patience. Welcome to the vault. Well, having a little difficulty here. Okay. Sorry for the background noise. We're going to discuss the evidence. You just heard the court. The judge's ruling, no bail. That will come at a later date once she gets more information and proceedings go forward. If there will be a bail or bond introduced, I doubt it. The prosecution right now is basically saying no bond, no bail. So we will wait to see if there will be a bond or bail later down the road. Probably not, due to the fact that he killed 4 people and they have a lot of evidence against Mr. Kohberger. So courtroom information, we're going to talk about the evidence. We're going to talk about the car, evidence in the car, because that's going to be a very pivotal point in this investigation as well. What was left in the car? I'm going to bring you that set information. One second while I get everything together. Let's talk about the evidence and the movements of Mr. Kohberger. I was trying to decide which to play because there's a lot to play.
This video canvas was to obtain any footage from the early morning hours of November 13, 2022 in the area of the King Road residence and surrounding neighborhoods in an effort to locate the suspects or suspect vehicles traveling to or leaving from the King Road residence. This video canvas resulted in the collection of numerous surveillance videos in the area from both residential and business addresses. I have reviewed the numerous videos that were collected and have had conversations with other officers, and they go on to say that. A review of camera footage indicated, and this is where that white Hyundai Elantra comes into play. A review of camera footage indicated that a white sedan, hereafter suspect vehicle 1, was observed traveling westbound in the 700 block of Indian Hills Drive in Moscow at approximately 3:26 a.m. and westbound on Steiner Avenue at Idaho State Highway 95 in Moscow at approximately 3:28 a.m. On this video, it appeared suspect vehicle 1 was not displaying a front license plate. At this point, they didn't know it was the vehicle that we now know, the white Hyundai Elantra. This is how they first were able to identify it. A review of footage from multiple videos obtained from the King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1 starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m. Remember the timeline of when they think these murders occurred. These sightings show suspect vehicle 1 makes an initial 3 passes by the 1122 King Road residence and then leave via Walenta Drive. Based off of my experience as a patrol officer, this is a residential neighborhood with a very limited number of vehicles that travel in the area during the early morning hours. Upon review of the video, there are only a few cars that enter and exit this area during this time frame. Again, this is also important because remember, he is charged with first-degree murder. There is a level of premeditation and planning to this. Keep this in mind as we hear all this. Suspect vehicle 1 can be seen entering the area a 4th time.
You get a stimulus.
Sorry about that, you guys. Sorry about the intermission. 4 times his car was in the general area. Why? Well, we know why now.
A 4th time at approximately 4:04 a.m. It can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping and turning around in front of 500 Queen Road, number 52, and then driving back westbound on King Road. When suspect vehicle 1 is in front of the King Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. The vehicle then continued to the intersection of Queen Road and King Road, where it can be seen completing a 3-point turn and then driving eastbound again down Queen Road. Suspect vehicle 1 is next seen departing the area of the King Road residence at approximately 4:20 a.m. at a high rate of speed. Suspect vehicle 1 is next observed traveling southbound on Walenta Drive. Based on my knowledge of the area and review of camera footage in the neighborhood, that does not show suspect vehicle 1 during that time frame. I believe that suspect vehicle 1 likely exited the neighborhood at Palouse River Drive and Conestoga Drive. Palouse River Drive is at the southern edge of Moscow and proceeds into Whitman County, Washington. Eventually, the road leads to Pullman, Washington. Pullman, Washington is approximately 10 miles from Moscow, Idaho. Both Pullman and Moscow are small college towns, and people commonly travel back and forth between them. We talked about this before when he was ultimately apprehended, the connection, the geographical distance between his university and where these murders occurred. I'm going to continue on. Law enforcement officers provided video footage of suspect vehicle 1 to forensic examiners with the FBI that regularly utilizes surveillance footage to identify the year, make, and model of these unknown vehicles. The forensics examiner, and they go into the forensic examiner's background and experience. After reviewing the numerous observations of suspect vehicle 1, the forensic examiner initially believed that suspect vehicle 1 was a 2011-2013 Hyundai Elantra, but upon further review, he indicated it could also be a 2011-2016 Hyundai Elantra. As a result, investigators have been reviewing information on persons in possession of a vehicle of this type. Investigators were given access to video footage on the Washington State University WSU campus. This is how they were able to connect the car to Kohberger. If we have some more time, I'd like to get into it before we take our break. So let me do this real quick. Okay, so we're not going to take breaks. I'm going to continue to go forward with this. A review of that video indicated that at approximately 2:44 a.m. on November 13th, 2022, a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of the white Hyundai Elantra known as suspect vehicle 1, was observed on WSU surveillance cameras traveling north on Southeast Nevada Street at Northeast Stadium Way. At approximately 2:53 a.m., this is again for the murders, a white sedan, which is consistent with the description of the white Elantra known as suspect vehicle 1, was observed traveling southeast on Nevada Street in Pullman, Washington, towards SR-270. SR-270 connects Pullman, Washington to Moscow, Idaho. The camera footage from Pullman, Washington was provided to the same FBI forensic examiner. The FBI forensic examiner identified the vehicle observed in Pullman, Washington, as being a 2014-2016 Hyundai Elantra. At approximately 5:25 a.m., this is after the killings, a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of suspect vehicle 1, was observed on 5 cameras in Pullman, Washington, and on the WSU campus cameras. The first camera that recorded the white sedan was located at 1300 Johnson Road in Pullman. The white sedan was observed traveling northbound on Johnson Road. Johnson Road leads directly back to West Palouse River Drive in Moscow, which intersects with Conestoga Drive. I mentioned those streets before. The white sedan was then observed turning north on Bishop Boulevard and northwest on SR 270. At approximately 5:27 a.m., the white Elantra was observed on cameras traveling northbound on Stadium Way at Nevada Street. They go on to talk a little bit more about where it goes. They provided a map showing what the campus looks like and kind of what the area looks like. They go on to say on November
20 minutes.
2022, NPD, Moscow Police Department, asked area law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for white Hyundai Elantras on the area.
Let me say this while you all are in the chat going on and on about terror and all of that. Let me make this clear. Sorry, I'm messing with my veins because they're irritating me. This hair. You can't have fear and don't call 911. Let's keep it real, okay? 4 people are dead. 4 people are dead. So whether you knew who he was or not, it doesn't matter, because the one thing I had to think about after listening to the information, because I make sure to listen to everything before going live. Please pay attention. He had on a ski mask. He had on a ski mask. That is not the same as you walking by and I'm thinking you're visiting one of the girls. Why would you be in a house with a ski mask on? So that's why I had to think about everything before I came on this live, because I like to be very meticulous about what I'm going to say. If you are standing near me, anywhere near me with a ski mask on in my house, why am I not going to call the police? And how is it that they passed each other and he didn't think to stab her? She's a witness. This is why I tell you have to pay attention. Because I will probably get very ignorant during this live stream, because this part of the story bothers the fuck out of me. You saw him where exactly? You had to either been going up the stairs, peeping around, standing in the living room, and he come down the stairs, or he was walking out the slider. So which is it? How did he see you and then think, oh my God, I got another witness? Whether he was tired or not, you are leaving a whole body, a whole witness. Don't bring that funk to the queen tonight. This is why I always tell you to think before you speak. How do you have shock? The shock should have been the ski mask. Ding, ding, ding. Survival mode. I got to get the hell out of here. So you run to your room. Lock the door. Call 911. What is somebody in my house doing with a ski mask on? It may be winter outside. It ain't winter in here. It's bullshit. I'm sorry, it's bullshit.
Law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for white Hyundai Elantras on the area. On November 29th, 2022, at approximately 12:28 a.m., Washington State University police officer Daniel Tiango queried white Elantras registered at WSU. As a result of that query, he located a 2015 white Elantra with a Pennsylvania license plate, LFZ 8649. This vehicle was registered to Bryan Kohberger, and he resides at 1630 Northeast Valley Road, apartment 201, Pullman, Washington. You have just seen how they were able to link the car to the defendant. The same day, at approximately 12:58 a.m., WSU officer Curtis Whitman was looking for white Hyundai Elantras and located a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra at 1630 Northeast Valley Road in Pullman, in the parking lot. 1630 Northeast Valley Road is an apartment complex that houses WSU students. Officer Whitman also ran the car, returned it, and it returned back to Kohberger with a Washington tag. This is where now you're going to see how they matched up the description from one of the roommates to the license. I reviewed Kohberger's Washington State driver license information and photograph. This license indicates that Kohberger is a white male with a height of 6 feet and weighs 185 pounds. Additionally, the photograph of Kohberger shows that he has bushy eyebrows, which again is what was indicated by one of the surviving roommates. Kohberger's physical description is consistent with the description of the male DM, DM, again, the pseudonym used for one of the surviving roommates, saw inside.
Wait. Wait a minute. Did you all just hear that? He had a ski mask on allegedly, but she saw his eyebrows. He has on a ski mask. It's dark. So was the floor dark or not? Was the room were the lights off in the living room or not? Were the kitchen lights on or not? How would you see eyebrows in a ski mask? I'm trying to understand. I know you're going to see eyes, eyelashes. Oh man, this is bad, man. I'm 2 minutes from flipping out, and I'm trying to be respectful, but this is bad. So now we got to see him in a ski mask to decide if I could see eyebrows or not. Because I would think those ski masks would be covering your eyebrows. Am I incorrect? Yes, it said the mask only covered his nose and mouth, she said. So it only covered his nose and his mouth. Face mask. Oh, the kind we wore for COVID. I was thinking a ski mask. I got to go back in because this is. Why would you not wear a ski mask then? Why would you just wear a mask? This is stupid. Okay, just the regular mask. Yeah, because I thought I read that earlier, but my mind was thinking just a ski mask for some crazy reason. Because I guess I'm trying to think like if I was a killer, I'm gonna go in in a ski mask. I'm not gonna go in no COVID mask. I'm gonna read all that to you. We're gonna chop all that up here just a second. Let me finish the evidence and then we'll go back.
The male that DM again, the pseudonym used for one of the surviving roommates, saw inside the King Road residence on November 13th. Further investigation, including review of Lake County Sheriff's Deputy CPL Duke's body camera reports, showed that on August 21st, 2022, so this is months before this happened, Bryan Kohberger with
nose and mouth. This makes no sense if I'm trying to hide myself as the killer. This shows you that he's just stupid. He's just dumb. He's a dumb criminal.
Months before this happened, Bryan Kohberger was detained as part of a traffic stop that occurred in Moscow, Idaho. This was by Corporal Duke. At the time, Kohberger, who was the sole occupant in the car, was driving a white 2015 Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plate LFC 8649, the one I just mentioned. During the stop, which was recorded via a law enforcement body camera, Kohberger provided his phone number, and then they don't actually list the phone number, they redact that. Investigators conducted electronic database queries and learned that the phone number, the phone is a number issued by AT&T. Now, from now on, his phone is going to be identified as 8458 phone, 8458 phone. On October 14th, 2022, again, before the killings, Bryan Kohberger was detained as part of a traffic stop by a WSU police officer. Upon review of the body camera report of the stop, Kohberger was the sole occupant and was driving, again, the white 2015 Hyundai Elantra. On November 18th, this is after the killings, According to Washington State licensing, Kohberger then registered the 2015 white Elantra with Washington, and it later received a new plate of CFB 8708. That's because the license was about to expire. Prior to this time, the 2015 Elantra was registered in Pennsylvania, which does not require a license plate to be displayed.
That's what I was going to say.
Based on my own experience and communication with Washington law enforcement, I know that Idaho and Washington require front and back license plates to be displayed. Investigators believe that Kohberger is still driving the 2015 white Elantra because his vehicle was captured on December 13, 2022 by a license plate reader in Loma, Colorado. Kohberger's Elantra was then queried on December 5th, 2022 by law enforcement in Hancock County, Indiana. On December 16th, at approximately 2:26 p.m., surveillance video showed Kohberger's Elantra in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. The sole occupant of the vehicle was a white male whose description was consistent with Kohberger. Kohberger has family in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. Based on information provided on the WSU website, Kohberger, and I went through this already, where they went into his background and how he did that Reddit survey. Now let's go into the cell phone data. The cell phone data is always critical. So as part of this investigation, law enforcement obtained search warrants to determine cellular data devices that utilize cellular towers in close proximity to the King Road residence on November 13th, 2022 between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. Anybody who follows the Law and Crime Network knows cell phone data can track someone's location in pivotal points at important times. So what did it show here? This is interesting. After determining that Kohberger was associated to both the 2015 white Elantra and the 8458 phone, investigators reviewed these search warrant returns. A query of the phone in these returns did not show the phone utilizing cellular tower resources in close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. So the cell phone data doesn't show that he was there or was using that phone near the residence. But that is only part of the story. Based on my training experience and conversation with law enforcement officers that specialize in the utilization of cellular telephone records, individuals can either leave their cellular telephone at a different location before committing a crime, or turn their cellular telephone off prior to going to a location to commit a crime.
All right, everybody. Just a second. That was the end of that commentary. One brief intermission. One moment, please. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to the vault. I will reappear in just a second. Let me read the information pertaining to what was allegedly in the paperwork pertaining to the arrest to recap all questions and misinformation. I got 167 viewing in the audience. Thank you so much. Oh, Lordy, what a mess. Let me give you some information first pertaining to this crime. A sheath was found. This is a cover for the knife. If you need verification for the information I'm going to read to you, Wikipedia is the next source. A sheath knife is a fixed-bladed knife that fits in a sheath of leather or other materials such as nylon or Kevlar. The sheath is used to protect the knife and as a carrier. Most importantly, the sheath protects the person carrying the knife in the pocket or hanging on the belt from potentially serious injuries and the sharp, unprotected blade could easily cause. To provide sufficient protection, sheaths made of soft materials such as leather often have reinforcements inside or outside of the sheath, made of metal sheet or other suitable materials having sufficient strength. The blades vary in size, shape, and construction. In Australia law, sheath knife has a different definition. In this case, they are a type of non-folding fixed-bladed knife which has a sheath which withdraws into its handle, thus giving something of the effect of an out-of-the-front flick knife. These knives, like flick knives, are classed as prohibited weapons in Australia. So what he left behind at the scene that you're now hearing in Xana's room is a covering for the knife. And this is where they found DNA matching Bryan Kohberger on the button, the snap part where you would snap the knife inside of the covering, which is called a sheath. Wikipedia is the source for that information. Now to the details that came out of the affidavit. It won't be as detailed what I'm going to repeat to you as you heard Law and Crime, street for street for street, but we're going to use our discretion in this commentary. Thank you for joining me. You are now listening to The Vault. Thank you for tuning in. Frozen shock, surviving roommate saw killer in home the morning of the Moscow murders. Describing a feeling of being in a frozen shock phase, one of the roommates on King Road reported seeing a figure clad in black in their home the morning 4 people were murdered. The details of one of many now made public with the release of an affidavit filed in Lake Tahoe County Court. The roommate, identified in court documents with initials, saw the man walk past her out of the sliding glass door. She then locked herself in her room. The court document details how police were led from the crime scene to the man now charged with the crimes. Bryan Kohberger makes his first court appearance in Lake Tahoe County Thursday morning, which that has already happened. The document also reveals that a knife sheath was left behind at the crime scene. The Idaho State Lab later located a single source of male DNA left on the button snap of the knife sheath, the document says. The affidavit also narrows down the timeline of the murders based on what the victims were doing in the early morning hours of November 13th. The surviving roommate said everyone in the house was home by 2 a.m. and asleep or in their rooms by 4 a.m., except for Xana Kernodle. Kernodle received a DoorDash order at 4 a.m., and forensic records show she was using TikTok at approximately 4:12 a.m. One of the survivors reports hearing what she thought was Kaylee Gonsalves saying something like, "There's someone here," quote unquote. But phone records show that they may have been Kernodle on TikTok. Roommate looked out and didn't see anyone, but then opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Kernodle's room. The roommate then said she heard a male voice saying something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Documents say at 4:17 a.m., a security camera on a neighbor's home picked up distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times at 4:17 a.m. So this will lead you to believe that the house is not well insulated. Because if you've got audio coming from a neighbor's camera, audio, which I believe that's the house that sits to the left, their windows and doors face the driveway. I've always said that this house was pivotal in this investigation. So I do believe I'm on the money of what I'm saying. If this is indeed the house, yes, audio picked up on a neighbor's house and the roommate or roommates heard something inside, but they did not get up to go inquire. When she did, allegedly, it was too late. He's walking by or walking out of the glass sliding door, and I'm assuming this is on the second floor. This is a very interesting and crazy information all wrapped in one. Thank you for joining me. Let me finish this content. Okay, and KXLY is the source if you are curious to where I'm getting this information. Thank you for joining me. Okay, let's get back. Once again, DNA was found on the button of that sheath belonging to a male. Here we go. I'm trying to find my place. Once again, Coronado received DoorDash at 4 a.m. Forensic records show. Forensic records show also, show she was using TikTok at approximately 4:12. One of the survivors, hearing what she thought was Kaylee Gonzalez saying something like, "There's someone here." That's even more strange to me because Kaylee's on the 3rd floor. So at one time we have a roommate who used to live in the house said he couldn't hear nothing on the 3rd, but could hear something on the 2nd. Now we have this girl who sleeps on the 1st floor repeating as if she could hear somebody on the 3rd floor speaking, saying there's someone here. But phone records show that they may have been Coronado on TikTok. So perhaps it was Coronado she was hearing and not Kaylee. The roommate looked out and didn't see anyone, but then opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Coronado's room. The roommate then said she heard a male voice saying something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Documents say at 4:17 a.m., a security camera on a neighbor's home picked up distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper followed by a loud thud. A dog could also be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. Who is the guy speaking, "I'm going to help you"? Who was that? Was that the killer or Ethan Chapin? Police say the security camera is less than 50 feet from the wall of Cornado's bedroom. So that means 50 feet is the house that I always talk about in my live streams, which sits to the left of the house. I've always said that house was pivotal in this information. I've always said that. Now you're hearing this affidavit. The security camera that picks up the audio of the dog barking and the whimpering is 50 feet from Cornado's bedroom. So that's that side wall on the same side back where they have the balconies. That's the house to the left of the driveway, 50 feet. The roommate opened the door a 3rd time, and that's when she saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. Okay, so it wasn't a ski mask. It was a mask covering the nose and the mouth. She told police she didn't know the man, but that he was athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past her as she stood in a frozen shock phase, according to the documents. He walked out towards the back sliding glass door, and she locked herself in her room. So this is where this is grainy. Exactly where were they standing in proximity to one another? Was she in the living room and he was coming down the stairs? Because how's this? I'm trying to understand where she was standing for him to walk by her. The only way he could walk by her is if he was coming down the stairs. And she was standing in the living room trying to investigate where the noise was coming from. So now you have to ask yourself, did she even go into Xana's room to see that she was already dead or suffering? How could she see him, come on with it, Queen, and not see Ethan Chapin bleeding on the floor? Bingo card. Please tell me this girl did not see a dead person lying in the floor and went back to her room and waited till afternoon to bring forward this information. She couldn't be standing at her door on the 2nd floor because allegedly that's an empty room on that floor. Please pay attention to the information. The 2 girls' rooms are downstairs on the 1st floor. There's only one person occupying a room on the 2nd floor. That would be Xana Coronado. Allegedly, the room closest to the stairs on the 2nd level off the kitchen was empty. Coronado's room is around that wall that's closest to the stair landing that goes down the stairs. Please pay attention. The surviving roommates live on the bottom. I'm going to say it for the last time. They live on the bottom. So how are you seeing him without him saying, "I got to kill her too because she's a witness"? You all are still not paying attention to a word I'm saying. If I can see you, why would I leave you alive? See, you all don't listen. They live on the 1st floor. I had to go to the 2nd floor in order to see the killer. Damn. Come on, you guys. Don't do this. One girl was on the first floor. Second room downstairs was for storage. Well, my understanding, only 2 were downstairs. I haven't got any more information today or looked to see anything that one of the girls had moved upstairs. So listen at what you're saying. This is why I tell you all to pay attention. If you're going to say that one of the girls downstairs lives on the second floor, then that means you would have heard the altercation with Ethan and Xana. And when you came out your room, you would have seen a dead man laying in the floor. Do you really want to spin that web with the queen? I don't think you want to do that. I don't think you want to do that. This is why I tell you all to think before you speak. If you want to change the narrative that one of the girls now lives on the second floor, which would be facing the kitchen, ding, 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 then you would have heard the altercation between the killer and Ethan and Xana, and you would have heard the altercation with Kaylee and Maddie. All I'm saying is, if it was reported, you still can't make somebody believe she wouldn't have heard it if she's on the same floor in a bedroom. Come on, you guys. I ain't about to argue this with you. Okay, I'm going to say it for the last time. If the bedroom is on the second floor, how are you not seeing a dead man laying on the floor then? Thank you, Rhiannon. It makes it even worse. Exactly. You can't argue with the queen because I wasn't the one there who would have been looking out the door 3 times at a dead man. That's the point I'm trying to make. That if that's the new version, that she was on the second floor, that room faces the kitchen. So that means you were only a smudge of a foot or 2 away from the killer. So what were you saying? Then where were you while he's walking out? You're looking at his back? He didn't see you open the door, but make it make sense. If you're on the second floor, then you've got a bullseye view of a dead person lying in the floor. Because where was Ethan? Then that means the narrative has to change that Ethan was not found in the living area. Okay, Penn, that's the point I'm trying to make. Early on, it was always said that he was in the living area. In the kitchen. And I always kept telling myself, well, who would know where he was? So this is why I keep trying to tell you all. If you're going to come in here repeating stuff that you heard from beginning to now the end, you just implicated her as watching a killer walk out, and she never opened her door after the 3rd time to check on her roommates, call 911, or nothing. Okay. She was on the second floor. Ethan was on the bed, and Xana was on the bathroom floor as per affidavit. See, this is what I'm saying. In the beginning, when people kept saying he was out in the common area, first thing I was wondering, when all these rumors with the phone calls were made, this is crazy to me. Well, then that means she had them gone in the room then. So those rumors in the beginning, she never saw anybody dead. Well, if you didn't see anybody dead, then why would you be running out calling 911? See, this don't make no sense. I have to find the source of that. Because this doesn't make any sense what you all are saying. This is ridiculous to me. That's why I didn't want to believe any rumors in the beginning. Because now this sounds even more crazy. So now, if she's on the second floor, she had them gone in somebody's room to find them dead. Oh, man. Okay. Well, then that's not the rumor that was repeated. So who's the person that was putting out all these rumors that they were there, and this is the version that the roommates gave them? You all remember in the beginning, somebody said, oh, I'm speaking on behalf of the girls because you all are talking bad about them. And allegedly, the girls ran out from allegedly seeing Ethan in a common area and dialed 911 and then came outside and passed out. What'd she say, Ebony? The affidavit said that said a room, not bathroom. I can read well. Didn't call 911. Yeah, allegedly, the rumor was 911 was called right near 12 o'clock the next day. Let me finish reading this. Okay. Because I'm starting to get frustrated because this is why I don't listen to the rumors, because I told myself something was strange about that first rumor about who saw who where. Okay, we're going to go back to Coronado and the DoorDash at 4 a.m. Forensic show Coronado was on TikTok at 4:12 a.m. So what was Ethan doing while she was on TikTok? Maybe sleep, I don't know, watching TV. One of the survivors reports hearing that she thought Kaylee said something about someone's here. Phone records show that may have been Coronado on TikTok instead of Kay. The roommate looked out and didn't see anyone, but then opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Coronado's room. The roommate then said she heard a male voice saying something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Documents say at 4:17 a.m., a security camera on a neighbor's home picked up distorted audio of what sounded like voices or whimper, followed by a loud thud. A dog has also been heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. Police say the security camera is less than 50 feet from the wall of Coronado's bedroom. The roommate opened the door a third time, and that's when she saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. So let me repeat that. A figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her, quote unquote. She told police she didn't know the man, but that he was athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past her as she stood in a frozen shock phase, according to the documents. He walked out towards the back sliding glass door, and she locked herself in her room. See, this don't make no sense. Tracking the suspect's vehicle. The next part of the affidavit unsealed Thursday reveals how police keyed in on a white Hyundai Elantra. Based on the survivor's account and phone records, police narrowed down the time of the murders between 4 and 4:25 a.m. They found a shoe print at the scene with a diamond-shaped pattern that also contained what was believed to be cellular material. This was just outside of the bedrooms. Police then did a video canvas. So let's ask that question. Whose room had the footprint of the suspect? Which room? Because it says out of one of the bedrooms. Police then did a video canvas near their home, trying to get any video of the suspect traveling to or leaving the scene that morning. Investigators detail how a white car entered the area 4 times. One moment. All right, you guys. Okay. The car entered the area 4 times, including the last time at 4:04 a.m. The vehicle was then seen again leaving the area at a high rate of speed at approximately 4:20 a.m. They believe the car left the area on Palouse River Drive, which leads into Whitman County and ends in Pullman, Washington. Kohberger was a PhD student at Washington State University at the time of the murders. Police worked with the FBI to determine the make and model of the car, which narrowed the suspect's vehicle to be a white Hyundai Elantra. The document says investigators then were given access to video footage at WSU, which spotted a white Elantra leaving the area at about 2:53 heading towards Moscow. At 5:25 a.m., a similar vehicle was spotted on 5 cameras on the WSU campus. November 25th, Moscow police asked local law enforcement to be on the lookout for a white Elantra. So at this point, at 12 days after the crime, Moscow has already contacted other law enforcement to look out for the Elantra. So this is a week before or so, a week or more before they announced to the public, which was December 7th, that they were looking for a white car. Please note that. The 25th, they put out the bolo to law enforcement, but not the public. On November 29th, WSU police officer Daniel Tiengo located a white Elantra with Pennsylvania plates that was registered to Bryan Kohberger. Police quickly realized his physical description matched the one given by the surviving roommate the morning of the murders. Investigators found Kohberger was still driving the vehicle on December 13th as it was captured on a license plate reader in Loma, Colorado. So this should be when he's going back home with the father. At that time, Kohberger and his dad were driving across the country from Pullman to Pennsylvania, where Kohberger was eventually arrested. Police then referenced a traffic stop in Indiana where Kohberger was pulled over for tailgating and surveillance video of him in the vehicle in Pennsylvania. Cell phone data. While the search for the Elantra was going on, police were also looking at cell phone records and information. Investigators say they determined a phone registered to Kohberger left Pullman at 2:47 a.m. the morning of the murders. Then no more information is given for several hours. Police say that is consistent with either the phone being in an area without cellular coverage, the connection to the network is disabled, or that the phone is turned off. I do believe when he left Pullman, he turned his phone off, and that's why they don't have any data from 2:47 to 4:48. So that's about 2 hours and 20 minutes. The phone starts reporting data again at 4:48 a.m. when it is found on the highway south of Moscow. At 5:30 a.m., the phone shows data consistent with Kohberger returning home. So at this point, he has turned his phone back on at 4:48 a.m. Assumingly. Police say cell phone data indicates the phone was back at or near the crime scene the next morning at 9:32 a.m. What in the world would possess this dodo bird to go back to the crime scene? This is crazy to me. Ebony, I'm not getting ready to bank on nothing about what room these people were in, because I'm not even getting ready to argue about what room they were in, because that's what was wrong with this story. People were making up versions in the beginning. Allegedly, somebody's close to the roommates wanted to put out a story because they didn't want people downing them. So I don't know which rooms these people were in. I'd rather hear it from the police to tell me where the dog was, where the victims were, who was in a room, out of a room. I'd rather hear it from the police. Because, see, it's already getting, they released the affidavit or whatever, what information, and now you all are starting to argue about which room this person was in, where the dog was. This is no different than how it was in the beginning. And I don't have that kind of time to be arguing about who was in which room. But this shit is starting to make my head hurt already. And now, every time I open this article, it closes every time I go in it. But this is what happens when you talk about terrible things. The articles don't like to stay open. That's a sign to me. Okay, so we're now getting information about the vehicle, making it back to the house in Pullman. Okay? Hold on. This article don't want to stay up. Where was I? Sorry about that. All right, everybody. The next morning at 9:32 a.m., the car was seen. Cell phone data shows that the car was back at the scene. The phone was back at the scene, at 9:32 a.m. No one called 911 until just before noon that day, so the crime scene had yet to be discovered, the DNA. Days before his arrest in Pennsylvania, agents were recovered trash from the Kohberger family's home in Pennsylvania. The evidence was sent to the Idaho State Crime Lab for testing. Investigators say that on December 28th, the Idaho State Lab reported that a DNA profile obtained from the trash and DNA profile obtained from the sheath identified a male as not being excluded as the biological father of the suspect profile. Essentially, there is DNA linked between the DNA found on the knife sheath left at the crime scene to the DNA sample found in the family's trash in Pennsylvania. What we still don't know. The documents released Thursday don't reveal any new details about a possible motive for the crime or a connection between Kohberger and the victims. Duke, could be. Great point. Did Kohberger use one of the roommates? I don't know. This is a very strange story. KXLY is the source, but always know that things are going to sound funky, suspicious when you don't have all the details. So in the affidavit, allegedly, they have not revealed a motive and the connection between the perpetrator and the females. It will possibly make more sense once they release the information of how he came to know the girls or find them, find the house. If he ever met any of them in person, passed them at work, school, social media accounts, messaged them, so on and so forth. So far, the weapon has not been recovered, but the sheath was left behind at the crime scene. A Law and Crime is saying that the sheath was in Xana's room. I don't know. I've not read the complete affidavit. I'm only reading you what was by this article and this source that I just brought to you, a news source. I'm going to go back in and type in the information about the roommate because I want to make sure I'm repeating everything correctly because that was not even mentioned in this article here. So let me see if I can find some info on that. This is just bad all the way around. Yes, what it is, that's what I was wondering. Did he go back in the house because he felt like he left something behind? Great point. I'm trying to find an article that shows what the roommate was on the second floor. And now they're showing her face. This is some crazy nonsense here. Hold on one second. Okay. I'm trying to see if they're going to mention the floors. So the surviving roommates are Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen. They're using their initials inside of the affidavit. They say they slept in the bedrooms on the first and second floors of the rental home. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to repeat that again since you all have been mentioning that inside of the chat that was not mentioned in the article I brought. So here we have content that says the surviving roommates, BF and DM, slept in bedrooms on the first and second floors of the rental home. Cornoto's bedroom was located on the second floor, investigators said, while Gonsalves and Mogan lived in two adjacent rooms on the third and uppermost floor. Gonsalves and Mogan were both found in Gonsalves' bedroom. See, now they're saying that they were found in Gonsalves' bedroom and not Maddie's. Oh, Lord. This is even more crazy. Let me repeat that. That's new information. Because our understanding is that Gonsalves moved out. Remember, I always told you all I needed a receipt to prove that Gonsalves moved out of the house. How would a stalker be stalking her if she moved? Then if you're watching the house, you would know that Gonsalves was not living in the house. So now you have information in this article, and this is CBS News if you need verification. Cornoto's bedroom located on the second floor, investigators said, while Gonsalves and Mogan lived in two adjacent rooms on the third and uppermost floor. Gonsalves and Mogan were both found in Gonsalves' bedroom and was the dog that Gonsalves shared with her ex-boyfriend, Jack DeCure. So the dog was in the bedroom of Gonsalves' room. Yes, musical chairs. So now we learn the dog was in Kaylee's room and that both victims were in Kaylee Gonsalves' room, not Maddie's room, if I'm to believe this source, CBS News. Okay, Emily says the affidavit I'm reading states they were found in Maddie's room. Well, I'm just reading you what's said here, sweetheart. Mortensen, who also slept on the second floor. Okay, so we now know that one of the roommates lived on the second floor. Now, the rumor had it that they were on the bottom. So now, see, this is why you can't believe the stuff that people say unless you hear it from the police. Mortensen, who also slept on the second floor, later told police in an interview that she opened her door 3 times after waking up at around 4 a.m. to what she thought sounded like Gonsalves playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the 3rd floor. A short time later, DM said she heard who she thought was Gonsalves say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." This is why I said when I was reading the first article, well, how could she hear Gonsalves if she was on the 1st floor and Gonsalves is on the 3rd? So now we have confirmation, allegedly, she lived on the 2nd floor, so maybe that's how she heard Kaylee playing with the dog. Let me finish. Okay. She thought she heard Gonsalves saying someone's here, the affidavit says. However, investigators pointed out that it could have been Kernodle's voice, since records from a forensic download of her cell phone indicated she was likely awake and using the TikTok app at approximately 4:12. This is still don't make no sense. Because if I open my door, let's go back. It said a short time later, DM said she heard who she thought was Gonsalves saying, "Someone's here." But also, Kernodle was trying to get food and was on her TikTok at 4:12. So did she hear through the door? Or did she get up and listen to the door? This is very strange. And wouldn't you know your roommate's voice by heart, even through a door? Yes, something is very off, Kate. Because even if I'm now getting information that this DM girl is on, Dylan is on the 2nd floor living. She's opening the door 3 times because she's hearing whatever's going on. That means when the killer walked by, she was what? Standing in the doorway? Or in the kitchen? Or in the living area? How close a proximity was she and the killer? Or was she watching the killer walk out and he didn't see her? But then it says in the first article I brought you that she saw him and she froze. So when you say freeze, do you mean I'm looking at the back of his head or we're looking eye to eye? I'm confused. Now, Mortensen told the police that she did not see anything when she looked out of her bedroom for the first time after hearing the voice. Let's chop that up now. So I'm confused. Opening the door 3 times after waking up at around 4 to what she thought was Gonsalves playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which was located on the 3rd floor. A short time later, DM said she thought she heard Gonsalves talking, "Someone's here." But they said Kernodle ordered food and was also on TikTok at about 4:12 a.m. Mortensen told police that she did not see anything when she looked out of her bedroom for the first time after hearing the voice. When she opened her door a second time after hearing what she believed was crying coming from Kernodle's room, Mortensen said that she heard a man's voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you," according to the affidavit. So we have 3 times her opening the door. Let's try to stay on page, because this is very confusing to me. So first she hears somebody saying somebody's here. The second time she opens the door, she believes to hear crying coming from Kernodle's room and somebody saying, "I'm going to help you." Mortensen said that she heard crying again later and opened her door for the third time, investigators said in the document. When she looked out her third time, she told the police she saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. Okay, so this says the same thing that the other article said. So he's walking towards her. So if her bedroom is the one closest to the stairs, where was she standing for him to be walking towards her? Then it says she described the person as a man standing at either 5 feet 10 inches or taller, who was not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The roommate told police that the man walked past her while she stood at her bedroom doorway. Okay, now this is clarifying where she was. The roommate told police that the man walked past her while she stood at the bedroom doorway in a frozen shock phase. Well, the only way he could walk past her is if he's coming down the stairs from the third floor. This is some crazy shit. Let me continue. Thank you all for joining me. Once again, she's standing in her doorway, frozen shock, and proceeded to exit the home through a sliding glass door at the back entrance. Mortensen told police that she locked herself inside of her room after seeing the masked individual. This leads investigators to believe that the murder left the scene, they wrote in the affidavit. While processing the crime scene, detectives found a diamond-shaped footprint, potentially from a van sneaker, near Mortensen's bedroom door. Wow. They said the discovery substantiated her interview comments regarding his path of travel as he moved through the home and out the back door. So obviously, her room is the room that I said is closest to the stairs, which is coming down from the third floor or going up to the third floor. So now you have to ask yourselves, did he try to grab the door handle to DM's door? Did he try to get in? And would he hear her coming in and out of her room while he was in the house killing the two kids upstairs? Exactly. Why didn't he kill her? So now you have to ask yourselves the obvious. She said she was in the doorway, but then she says he was walking towards her. So how's he walking towards you? Towards you means he will be coming from the kitchen facing you. That's towards you, directly in front of you. Or he's coming from Xana's room and sees you standing there and didn't touch you. Which is it? Coming down the stairs, he locks with you and keeps on going out the door. Or number two, he's coming from around that corner that's to the right, around from Xana's room, and he sees you standing there and he walks by you, or you had the door half cracked and saw him coming from Xana's room. You got to make it make sense. Because when you say towards a person, that means we're locking eye to eye. I just read this article so I could verify that one of the girls was sleeping on the second room, because I don't want to repeat anything that's not correct. But the article I first brought you did not even mention that one of the girls was sleeping on the second floor. So this contradicts information that we got immediately and throughout the investigation, that two girls were on the bottom floor, and why didn't they hear anything or see anything? Now this is even more crazy. We learned that one's living on the first floor, one's on the second floor, and then Xana's on the other part of the room around from the kitchen that's closest to that partition that goes downstairs. So two are on the second floor, two are on the third floor, and one's on the first floor. And an eyewitness is now saying she saw the killer face to face and then go out of the glass slider. So then you have to ask, did he enter into the slider? Let me bring you my commentary, because I'm utterly confused. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to the vault. Let's start with the evidence. DNA on a knife sheath button. Shoe print outside of the room door, which is believed to be DM's room. Eyewitness froze, saying she saw the killer coming towards her. So that means another young lady was on the second floor instead of the rumor that she lived on the bottom with the other roommate. Is there any other DNA at the crime scene mixed in with the victim's hair fibers, animal, carpet, fibers from Mr. Kohberger transferred to the victim's fingernails, broken, his hair follicles? What is left behind besides his DNA? DNA in the mixture of blood, other sweat, whatever. Phone pings in town. Phones, 9:32 the next morning, back at the house. What was he doing back at the house? What was the killer doing back at the house? Did he go back because he thought he left something behind, which would be this sheath? Or did he go back to take care of the ones he left standing in the doorway? If he had been watching this house, then he would have known who all lived in the house. He would also know that Ethan returned to the house. So when was the last time he was at the house before the 12th and the 13th? Did he go back to 12th, ride around, look around? Why risk going in that house with a man there? Perhaps he watched the house and didn't know that Ethan was there. But you would see 6 cars or so, you should have known. If every girl owns a car, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 girls. That would be 5 cars belonging to the women. 1 belonging to Ethan Chapin would be 6. 6 cars parked inside of the driveway. Allegedly, if you were watching the house, Mr. Bryan, you would have known there was an unidentified car parked there. Why go in? How did he enter? Sliding door, front door? Did he forget something at the scene, or was he going to finish off one of the girls? Did he wear gloves on this killing spree? The front door was allegedly opened by rumor. Was that true? Is that true? You hear no mention of that in the commentary. Rumors was that Ethan was in the front, one of the front rooms. But now we hear you all are saying that he was in another bedroom. So where was Ethan found exactly? Why didn't the roommate call 911 if she saw this guy coming towards her or down the stairs that she's never notified or never known of? Why stay in your room all these hours? Why not call one of the girls to see did they know who this guy was? You heard whimpering and crying at least 2 times. DM. Why didn't you call one of the girls? Why didn't you go out? Hey, in the scary movies, they do it all the time. They go check at some point. Because you can't say you fear for your safety. You didn't know the guy, but you didn't call 911 and you didn't call the girls and you didn't go out of the room to go knock on the girls' doors to see if they were okay. This is strange to me. I thought maybe he had a ski mask on. In my mind, I just keep thinking ski mask. That would alert me to call the police. But here it says only nose, mouth covered. So perhaps he was wearing just a surgical mask, COVID mask. But you still can't say I'm frozen because that sends the message that you had fear in you. If you have fear in you, why not call 911 or call one of the girls to make sure they were okay? "50 feet of audio away from the house," which is the house to the left, I'm assuming. 50 feet from Xana's room. On the audio of the person's camera, they're here whimpering and a thud and a dog barking. Did she ever look out? So I can't even ask that question now because I now know she's on the second floor. Let me say this. Did this girl go out at some point before 12 noon and saw that they were dead in Xana's room and upstairs and waited to call 911? And who is the person allegedly close to the victims, to the surviving roommates, that put out this version that they ran out of house after calling 911 and seeing Ethan's body lying somewhere in an open room? Who is that person, and why did they put that narrative out? Because that contradicts what we're hearing today. Because indeed, if she lives on the second floor and Ethan was in an open room, let's say hypothetical, then that means you saw a dead man lying out into the hallway at some point and you didn't call 911. So why would your friend or associate put that rumor out weeks ago that Ethan was in a common room found? And that's why you ran out of the house calling 911. It's strange to me. Which way did he leave out? Well, she says the sliding door. And we now know that allegedly the dog was in Kaylee's room. This article saying they were in Kaylee's room and not Maddie's. I don't know what's the truth. Where was his car parked? In proximity to the house. You hear, I play you information from Law and Crime. He had a hard time trying to turn around on that street. Was he frantic, trying to get out of there? Was that before or after the killings? Him trying to maneuver on the street, King Road. The girls left behind, were they fearful for their safety? Naturally, they couldn't return back to the house because it was a crime scene. So where exactly did the two remaining roommates go? Did they stay on social media? Was he trying to find the remaining roommates and locate them as to eliminate them? 2, did he ever try to eliminate the people's house facing the driveway that has the audio of the thump and the dog barking? This is why I told you all in the beginning why nobody should have been doxing these people, because I knew the house next door had footage of something. I've said that early on. And you all kept throwing these people names and their addresses out there, people putting addresses of people that had cameras. You had no right to do that because you were endangering the lives of innocent civilians. These people, their house is a witness to the crime. And this boy was loose for a month. He could have tried to hurt the people in the house. He could have tried to hurt the people who he thought had video cameras. Think. You're too busy wanting to spit anything out there as your theory, but you're endangering the lives of innocent civilians. And I've seen YouTubers do it. You put somebody's house out there saying, oh, they got a camera. I was looking at Google Earth. They got a camera. You had no right to do that. You had no right. Did the girls continue to stay on social media after the murders of their friends? Who was talking, I will help you? Was that the killer talking to Xana? Or was that Ethan talking to her after both had been brutally stabbed? We now know why they didn't speak at the memorial. It's because they were witnesses to the crime, one of the roommates. Will he get life or death in penitentiary? Or just life? Will the prosecution seek the death penalty for the burglary and murder charges? He is to go to court on the 12th of January at 10 o'clock. And we will see how he will represent himself as insane, lucid, guilty, not guilty. The fact that all this evidence has been revealed in court, the best thing that Mr. Kohberger could do is just have a bench trial by the judge and plead guilty. Do not waste taxpayers' money on this frivolous crime because they have too much evidence against you, Mr. Bryan. You know you're guilty. You know you killed these kids. And I got a feeling you had been watching them or got the contact or some type of knowledge of these kids since August. You moved directly to the state of Washington to kill somebody, to mimic or emulate Theodore Bundy or one of these notorious killers because you wanted to be recognized and validated in this world some type of way. And this was your sick way of getting validation. I believe you chose this school deliberately because you had plans to murder when you sat down soil in Washington. California has the most serial killer victims. You knew that. You knew that most serial killers derive out from the Pacific Northwest. You did your homework because you studied psychology. You planned all this, I do believe. You deliberately went to Washington to apply to school to kill somebody, plural. You're facing 1 year to 10 years for the burglary charge. A Miss Taylor is now representing him as a public defender. No bail set at this time until further proceedings, which will be in January. He cannot contact anybody pertaining to the affidavit. That is all witnesses and family members. He cannot use a third-party social media to contact them. There can be no threat, no force. He cannot be at 300 feet of any of the people, their homes, jobs, and entities. We don't have to worry about that because he is now incarcerated, but he could get somebody to use to go out here and stalk and harass the victims and their families. The judge told him there'll be no exceptions to this contact rule of the family. He is to stay away from these people for 2 years until further notice. Why didn't he kill the girl standing in the doorway? Did he try to find her and any other roommates once their names were released by dirty YouTubers? Because you all were dirty by releasing their names to the general public when you should not have done that. Because he could have tried to hunt those girls down. Stay woke. Did he know about all the girls living in the house? Or did he have a target and only focus on a target or targets? What is the nexus? How did he find them? Social media, following them, stalking them? How did he come to find these kids? And how is it that he didn't know that Ethan was there? Ethan was a big guy. That's probably the one that gave him his run for his money and probably the one with the most DNA under his fingernails is Mr. Ethan Chapin. Exactly. The girls lived in this house. And if we're to believe that he went out of the slider on the second floor, as this witness says, that means the girls left the door unlocked. Because I'm not going to believe he was let in by any of the women in the house or the male. So that means the girls left the door unlocked often. Or was it just this one time? And why would you not lock the door back? So which door did Xana get up to get the fast food? Which door did she use to get the fast food? Okay. Front door. She walked downstairs to the front door, or she walked around and told them to come bring the food to the slider door since she did live on the second floor. Was anybody alive when he left? Could have survived their wounds? I think that just coroner said that they couldn't have survived their wounds. Xana's room, allegedly they're saying the sheath was left there. Is that true? Was that why he went back at 9:30 to try to retrieve it, or something else he left behind? What is the motive for the murders? Did he deliberately move to Washington to commit these heinous crimes? August, he got a ticket in Latau County. Was he out surveying the situation of Latau County in Moscow just to kill somebody? And did he plan this from August up until November? Very good question. In August 2022, he got a ticket in Latau County. This is a time when he should have been studying, working, learning Pullman, Washington, learning his way around there. And although 15 minutes is not far to drive, but his focus should have been on his school books and his learning instead of riding around Moscow. And I believe they said he was in the general area at least 12 times. So perhaps he knew to come over to this town, or he chose this town for his hunting ground. Did he choose this place deliberately because of the victims living here, or it was just a place he wanted to kill and then stumbled upon the victims as his targets? Did he not kill the other girls because he was tired? Some of you have mentioned that in the chat the past couple of weeks. That is why 2 survived. Now that you have logistics that 1 lived on the 2nd floor and saw the killer, you are going to ask now, why did he let a living person remain? And did he know how many people actually lived in the house if we are to believe he was stalking and watching? Is this the stalker Kaylee was talking about, or she was just speaking in general terms of just a pesky guy bothering her? How long did he watch the house? How many times had he been to the house in this said location? Thank you for joining me. 241 in the room. Where are his shoes and clothes? It is believed he wore a pair of Vans. Cheap shoes he wore to the scene. How interesting. You would wear cheap shoes to go kill some kids. Where are the shoes? Where are his clothes that he wore on the morning of the killing? He wore a mask. Naturally, threw that out, just a surgical mask. Nose, mouth covered only. Why not a full ski mask as not to be recognized? Where was the knife bought? Is there a receipt or location, locale, or where he bought the knife? Did he bring the knife from Pennsylvania? Or did he buy it in Washington State or Idaho? Will we get information about the knife? And where did he discard the knife? Did he leave it behind in his apartments? Did he take it on his road trip back to Pennsylvania? What has Bryan told his family about the murders? And was he playing around on social media, in chat rooms, Facebook pages, giving his 411 pertaining to the crime? Had there not been a bolo put out about the car, would he still be free walking around undetected? And would he have committed these atrocious crimes again? Why did he take his car to the crime scene? How do the parents feel now knowing their son has evidence linked to the crime directly with shoe print, data, phone data, pings, DNA on the sheet that held the knife? Eyewitness account of seeing a guy mimicking him leaving the house. Do they support him now? Once again, as I said, how could she be frozen seeing this guy and never calling 911 or her roommates to inquire of their safety? Did she ever leave the room, DM, and saw that they were dead, but just decided not to call 911? Then that means if she did, she's a callous son of a you-know-what, to know that her friends are dead and never call 911. Why didn't this witness call the roommates to check up on them, allegedly if they were up, and she heard them being up? Was the girl on the first floor actually asleep? Did she even call her through the night to tell her she noticed this guy coming from wherever in the house upstairs? What time did she go to bed? DM, the witness. Once again, where was Ethan after death? Should she have gone upstairs or downstairs to check on her roommates after a certain amount of time, assuming that the killer was out? Bingo card. Why didn't you go lock the glass slider after seeing the suspect leave? I'm asking you directly. Why didn't you lock the glass slider door after the perpetrator left that house? Because this is strange to me. If I'm to believe that you did not know the perpetrator. You suspected something afoul with the perpetrator. You saw him exit out of the glass slider door. Why would you not go lock the glass slider door? For safety reasons. And could that door not be locked because it was broken? These are important questions. And let me tell you, when she goes to court, they're going to ask her those things. The defense is going to ask her, they're going to chew her up. Because the first thing the defense attorney is going to say, you saw my client face to face and you've never seen him before, but you were frozen? Why would you be frozen when you all have so many people coming in and out of your house, partying, visiting the girls? If you feared for yourself and your friends, why didn't you lock your door and call 911? Did you try to call your friends to ask who he was? Stay woke. She could have thought there were other attackers, but that doesn't negate if you are saying that you're frozen, you're leading to people that you had fear in you. So if you fear something, why wouldn't you call 911? They don't have control over what I do in my room so long as they're not kicking the door in. So if no one is trying to get into the lock room, Jimmy in the door, I can call 911. I can call my roommates to check on them to see that they're okay. Hey, who's this guy? Do you know him? I just passed somebody in the kitchen. He had on a ski mask. Was this your friend? Was this your company? Did you invite him over? Stay woke. Should the girl have gone upstairs or downstairs to check on her roommates? Call them. How does she feel now knowing that her name is out here and she's the witness to the perpetrator being in the house? Did she and the other girl fear for their safety? Now we know that they would because we didn't know she saw him, one of the girls. So naturally, she would have feared for her safety. And did he try to find her or any of the other roommates? How do the parents feel knowing one of the girls was an eyewitness to the killer? Because remember, Mr. Gonsalves and his family felt some type of way about the alibis and those cleared early. Who were they speaking of? Were they speaking of these girls being cleared? If not, who were they speaking of? And how do they feel now knowing that one of the girls saw the perpetrator and never called 911, never went upstairs to check on any of the roommates or downstairs or to Xana's room or call 911? Why not? Will she talk to the families now? Will they talk to her? Do they have questions for her? Did she tell anybody the real truth of what she saw and heard in that house? Is her version the same with outsiders versus FBI police? But as you heard in the commentary I just read you, the footprint outside her door led the police to believe the foot tracks and the motions of the perpetrator in the house. But has she told another version to somebody else? Because in the beginning, somebody spoke on her behalf and said they saw somebody lying dead upstairs and they ran out and called 911. So let's ask that question. Were all the bedroom doors open on the morning of November 13th? Was Xana's door open? Where a person could walk in and see a dead person or persons? Was anybody lying dead in the common areas, living room and kitchen? Where were the girls exactly on the third floor? Maddie's room or Kaylee's room? Was she fully packed and moved out of her room? Because now we're getting conflict that the girls were found in Kaylee's room and the dog was in there. What is the truth? Do the parents of Bryan Kohberger still support him with all of the evidence revealed in the said information. Thank you for listening. This is the vault. I will now, hold on one second, you guys. Trying to find my pen. Wherever it went. Oh, there it is. Thank you for your time. A lot of information to get out. Well, I didn't read the affidavit. I'm not here to argue about the affidavit. Because in the end, what's in the affidavit and what's repeated to the news is two different things. I would hope that the people would know how to read it to repeat the information correctly. So that's up to the news, how they want to report the information. That's the whole point. Everybody's not going to read the affidavit. They're just going to read the news articles, and they're going to assume that what they repeat in the news is accurate from the affidavit, the state's attorney's office, and the detectives. It's just the way it goes. And the news can, yes, repeat things wrong, and so can law enforcement or anybody else. Because in the end, everything's a version. And I keep trying to tell everybody that about a story. Everything that's repeated is a version. So it doesn't matter even what's in the affidavit. You still got that version from somebody. And if you weren't there at the house, you really can't corroborate where somebody was and what somebody saw and what time somebody got up, when somebody looked out a room, when somebody went to sleep. Unless you have surveillance cameras inside of the rooms in the house to verify who was up, who was walking around, where a dog was, who looked out the door. How are you going to verify all of that without a surveillance camera? You can't. You're going off somebody's version. So the gist of the story is, do you believe the information that was given by the eyewitness? That's the best you can do. You either believe it or you don't. Hit the link if you want to give your opinion pertaining to the information that's been released to the general public via news, via affidavits. Thank you for joining me. This is The Vault. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. I will read some of your comments to keep the flow and continuity of the live stream going. Knowing some of this information now, I know why Mr. Gonsalves was so disturbed and acting out. I get it now. Ebony says, no, I don't. 2 killers, 1 lookout. Dylan was in on it. 2 dudes split after crime. Dylan heard Kaylee say, I think someone is here. She heard crying. She then heard a thud. All 3 times she stepped out of her bedroom and the killer walked right by her. Okay. I don't know. I'm trying not to be mean, but something strange here. And I'm not trying to point the fingers at anybody, but I use deduction because I will be 52 at the end of this month, and I just go by reasoning and common sense. There's no way my intuition, if my intuition was telling me that this person looks strange, I don't think he knows anybody in the house, I would have called the police. That's me. But maybe because they have a lot of traffic in their house, that's why she didn't want to get involved. And I've told people that a lot of times about true crime. The reason why you don't find a perpetrator is for the very reason you have this information in the affidavit that somebody didn't call 911. Perhaps this crime could have been solved sooner had this girl called the police, because then they would have came to the house, sealed the house off, fresh evidence, allegedly, put an APB out for anybody in the general area. They would have been riding around the town looking for anything. They would have then started, once daylight, canvassing businesses and all of that on the 13th for surveillance cameras. And you would have then had actual footage of the perpetrator leaving and riding around day one. Stay woke now. You would have that information day one. Somebody says they were crying and moaning. Dylan went to sleep. That's evil, in my opinion. Okay. Not reacting for 8 hours, opening doors 3 times. At least she would be an eyewitness. The least she can do. Okay. Maybe she thought she was tripping. Well, I don't know. Maybe she was on drugs. Maybe she was high on marijuana, drinks. I don't know. I will call 911 ASAP, because what if able to break into my room? Exactly. That's why I'm saying. The mask is a surgical mask, not a ski mask. To me, of course, a ski mask will be definitely more suspect than a COVID mask. So maybe she didn't think more about it with a COVID mask on. But when you say I was frozen in shock, then that leads you to believe, or lead us to believe, you thought something suspect with the person standing before you with this mask on. Because you can't say you're shocked without a follow-up. You're shocked at what? Jakey says I would have gone to check on my friends. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Why not go check on your friends? Why not call 911? Because after you see your friends, you realize they're dead, they're bludgeoned. I got to go call. I got to get the fuck out of here. Knock on my friend's door on the bottom. Girl, get up. Come on, we got to go. They've been killed. Let's go. Photo, possibly the killer could have been caught that night. Exactly. Because it would have been a rush once the cavalry went in, saw the dead bodies. Alert would have went out to the students on the campus, the town, everybody nearby, Washington, Oregon, everywhere. It would have been boom, 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 boom. He would have been in a tight box, Bryan Kohberger. Please hit the link if you want to join this live stream to give your opinion pertaining to the evidence against Mr. Kohberger. Affidavit has released commentary of evidence, footprints, phone pings, evidence gathered against him, an eyewitness, which is one of the roommates. Make this live count. Like, share, subscribe. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie, 129 Cash App. All super chats, stickers are welcome during my live streams. Thank you all so much. Happy New Year. The sad part about this story is that 4 people are now dead. Another person has forfeited his life by killing these innocent children that he did not know, I don't believe. For what purpose? But in the end, the motive will never matter, because you're not a killer, you're not a sadist. You will never be able to understand the mindset of a very sick and demented soul. He will be chopped up and chewed up and spit out like all serial killers and mass murderers. He possibly did this for validation of a very ho-hum, lonely life. And some may empathize with him that he was a lonely person, but it doesn't matter. There are a lot of lonely people, but they don't kill people to seek validation and notoriety. And I do believe this is why he chose Washington State. He chose this school. He chose Moscow, Idaho, and he chose 1122 King Road, his crowning glory. He possibly knew he would be apprehended. He did not care. He did not care to have a vigorous life, to marry, to have children, to try to salvage a life, to be happy. He gave up. And he's like most people, sadists, sociopaths, psychopaths. He has no empathy. So living meant nothing. Living meant nothing. That's why it was easy to kill the Idaho 4. He had nothing to live for. And this is his grand poobah, to sit in the court and hear the information, nod his head, jaw clenching. Did you not notice that while he was sitting in court? The jaw was clenching. He's livid. You caught me. I fucked up. I left behind DNA. I took my car there stupidly. I rode around in circles in Moscow, Latau County, looking for a victim. I fucked up. He's angry at himself. He's angry. I should have planned this out better, but he didn't. Well, Jennifer, there's no conversation about anybody dating anybody. Come on now. Exactly. Thank you, Bonnie. You can't be frozen in shock without some fear. So if you fear something, then you should have known something was amiss with this being inside of your house. Well, I'm not claiming anybody is in cahoots with the killer. I don't do that. All I'm saying is the behavior is suspect by the words used. I'm not going to use "I was shocked" and not expect somebody to ask me why I was shocked. If I tell you today I walked in my house and was surprised to see somebody standing here, wouldn't you ask me why I was surprised? Wouldn't law enforcement ask me if I called the police and said, "Oh, there's somebody in my house, I'm shocked to see him or her here"? Wouldn't they say, "Well, why? Did they break in? Do you know them?" Come on now. Exactly. And people are going to ask those questions. And she can't really get angry that people are going to ask. Why would the killer leave you alive? Why would he walk by you? Where were you standing exactly? You said the doorway. Well, then he wasn't face to face with you unless he was coming from Xana's room. Your room is right here. You're standing in the doorway facing out. You have a view of the stairs, the kitchen, and over here, which is the wall coming from Xana's room. So did he come from Xana's room and looked at you and walked on by and walked out of the door? Why would he do that? He's coming down the stairs and you're right here. He looks at you, you look at him, he goes out of the door. Why would he do that? So you can't expect now with this information, people not to be suspicious of you and suspicious of why this man would leave a live witness. He's just butchered for people. Why would I leave a whole person? Waiting in her room. Waiting in whose room? Did he party there? Duke, come on now. Don't start. Don't do that. Drugs have never been mentioned pertaining to this house. No drugs have ever been mentioned or linked to this house. Well, I think they would find that in the records if anybody invited him over or knew of him. Toy asks, she didn't spot any blood trail. Well, let's ask this question since she was standing in the door and saw the perpetrator. Were the lights on or the lights were off inside of the living area and the kitchen? I think he is figuring out he left his own life behind in that house as well. What do you mean, Lily? I don't think Bryan had anything to do with that house other than lurk around it. Smokey Ash, what are you trying to say? I don't know. What are you trying to say? He didn't kill the girls? What are you saying? Yes, there is a footprint in front of Dylan's door. So one would say, is that a footprint of him coming out of Xana's room after killing her and Ethan, then going upstairs, or coming down the stairs from killing those kids? Or he was standing at her door listening and fumbled with the lock or door? I meant before the crime, he definitely did it. I don't understand what you all are saying. All right. I'm not listening to anybody implicating anybody else in the crime. I don't have time for that foolishness. They have checked everybody's phone records. And if he's stupid enough to ride around Moscow laptop getting seen on cameras in his car, stupid enough to use his phone and have it on him when he went back to the crime scene at 9:30, anybody else talking to Bryan, they would have their phone records as well, because that's the point of the story. Many people are not smart. Britt, who are you speaking of, D? Who are you speaking of? Somebody's mentioning about him asking about other people arrested. Gives credit to Bryan asking when he got arrested, others arrested. Well, I don't know. But I'm not here to point the fingers, because I didn't do that in my covering of this case, and I'm not doing it now. Bring me a receipt. If the police wants to bring a receipt to any other cohorts or co-conspirators, then I'll listen. But I'm not implicating anybody in this crime. Dylan posted the selfie with Kaylee. Okay. Yeah, noise complaints and somebody getting high, that's not the same. They don't have anything to do with anything. You have to prove that somebody murdered somebody because of drugs, heavy trafficking of cocaine, meth, fentanyl. They don't have any information to that. So what's the point of talking about it? Bring a receipt. They have not brought you a receipt that anything's drug related pertaining to the deaths of these kids. And I do not believe that's why they were killed. It's because of drugs. I don't entertain that type of foolishness. There's no information about anybody using drugs or selling drugs. So, and you can only say that now because you know that he used to use drugs in his past. I don't think that has anything to do with why the kids were killed. Well, Britt, what are you trying to say? I don't understand your point. That's why you should hit the link instead of talking in the chat. Because I don't want to sit here and read text messages for an hour or two. If you have a point you want to make, hit the stream. Make your point. You don't know that anybody used drugs or was a drug addict and that he killed them because of drugs. He could have done that over there in the town where he lived. He picked Moscow for a reason. That's the bottom line. He picked that house for a reason. And I doubt it has anything to do with drugs. Vanna, where are you calling from?
Memphis.
What do you have to say about the evidence that's been revealed in this affidavit and his court appearance? And take it from here.
Did you say that she described the car that he was in, but she didn't call the police?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
No, that I brought information pertaining to how they found the car through surveillance.
Okay. I had it wrong. Okay. That's all I wanted to ask.
Oh my God.
Because I was
Well, let's ask ourselves this: where was the car parked? Because the information I brought from Law and Crime, he was on the street having trouble trying to park or get out of there. So what the hell was going on with him in the car?
Why did he come back the next day?
Because I can, Vanna. Think about what you're asking. The man boldly walked in somebody's house and butchered 4 people. You're really questioning why he went back? Think about it. I went back because I wanted to.
But are they?
You got to think like how they think. See, this is where he messed up. He turned the phone off before getting a mouth scowl. Killed the kids, left out, then turned the phone on when he got near his house. But he stupidly came back the next morning with the fucking phone on.
So how did they find out the type of car? Was it from the ring from the neighbor's house?
It probably was a multitude of that, and they surveyed the area. And that's when, you remember the girl at the gas station said she wouldn't check the videos and saw a car go by, a white car. Okay. So they canvassed the area in general after they got wind that somebody was in the house and they had an eyewitness. So one thing begat another. We go look for the car. We go look for surveillance. Somebody has surveillance. Then we try to pinpoint the make of the car. Then this is when we put a bolo out to the law enforcement. So see, they put a bolo out to the law enforcement before they did the public. See, that's something we didn't even know. Police already knew a week or so before it was even released to the public about the white car.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that part, but I thought the roommate said he had a white Elantra, so I was trying to get that.
As far as I know, I don't know. I didn't read the affidavit. I'm just reading the news articles, and they're relaying the affidavit. Because I don't even know how long the affidavit is. So
they probably only released what they wanted to release. They probably didn't release it all.
No, of course not. But let me ask you this. Don't you find it strange this girl is looking at the perpetrator and don't even call 911? She don't call the roommates to check on them. She don't even go upstairs or out the rooms to go see if what's going on.
Yes, I think that's very strange because I would have ran back in my room, picked up my phone, called 911 and try to see.
Burglary is entering a domain. You don't have to take anything. You broke in the house. You weren't invited. So it's breaking and entering.
It's really a home invasion.
Well, I mean, I don't know why somebody's asking that question in the chat. You walked into somebody's house. It does not matter if the door was locked, unlocked, cracked. That's not your house.
But if you break in someone's house in their home, it's really an invasion.
Okay, well, you're law enforcement, so please explain it to them, please. I'm not trying to argue.
It's not burglary. It's a home invasion if someone's there.
Okay, thank you.
And that's in Tennessee. I don't know about Idaho, but Tennessee it is. Because he went home. He went in when he went in the home. That was already a felony because the home invasion is a felony in Tennessee. Okay, that's true. I'm trying to read to see if anyone has any questions about.
Are you looking at the chat, Mom?
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat. Trying to get some questions if anyone have questions. I was trying to see if anyone has questions I could probably answer only for the laws in Tennessee, but it probably applies. Some of the things probably apply in Idaho also. But if I would have saw him, I probably would have froze up. And because she had to see blood dropping off of him or blood on him, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. Does anyone know? I would have been shocked and I would have called 911 and I would have stayed in my room until the police got there. But I would have went and got my phone and called 911. And if you are saying somebody just came in your house and you believe they have harmed someone, the police should be on their way ASAP. Because usually and when you're working as a police officer, it's usually 2 cars to a ward, to an area. So if they're giving you that call for that address, it's 2 officers that work that ward. So, but if they get to the scene and they need more cars, they'll call for more cars. So I would have called the police. I would have just went to sleep and wake up at 1 o'clock and called the police then. I would have called immediately.
Well, how do you think the girls feel now knowing you come face to face with a killer and he's killed your friends and left you alive? Why?
I don't know how they should feel. I would feel really bad if I didn't have any involvement in it.
But I'm saying you looked at the killer, but you never called 911, Bonner.
That makes me think something very suspicious is going on.
Yeah, because when you use the word "I was shocked," frozen means you saw something that threw you off to make you not move. You have to use deduction when you listen at that wording. Why would I be shocked, frozen? For what reason? Just saying. Why would I be frozen, shocked? Shocked, frozen is the word used. Why? Why would I be frozen, shocked? People go in and out of the house all the time and visit, so why am I shocked?
And mostly people, okay, it's 2 persons to a ward, and 2 police officers in different cars in a ward. Mm-hmm. Maybe if they have a trainee, it'll be another officer in the car. But at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're hardly getting any calls that time of the night. So everybody should have went over there if someone had called. They would have been there in no time.
But I'm saying, I'm shocked. What is it that I'm shocked about?
That the friend did not call 911.
Because I'm saying, you're speaking to the public. You told the police you're shocked. You're shocked at what, though? If you're shocked, you have to explain why you're shocked. See, this is what people don't understand about the wording. The defense will chew her alive.
Yes.
That's why I keep trying to make people understand about a version. That's not the version allegedly that you all gave to your friends who put all these rumors out that you found somebody dead and ran out and called 911 at 12 o'clock noon. Okay? So then you got to go back to the real issue of the person who put this information out to the public that you found Ethan and ran out. So then you got to ask, where did you find Ethan if that's true? In a common area or Xana's room? Was that true? And if it wasn't true, why would somebody put this information out to the public pretending to be your friend to try to help people not gossip about you as having involvement and talk bad about you?
Something is strange. Like you said, it's very strange. Why didn't she call 911? I don't know. Maybe she was very drunk. I don't know.
Somebody said her testimony is a defense attorney's dream.
Yes, it is.
Con, what is your problem about robbery? They didn't say robbery. They said burglary. It's not the word they use.
And they said burglary, but it's a step up from burglary. It's a home invasion.
Jesus Christ. See, this is why I know people don't listen. You walked into somebody's house. You all are grown. We shouldn't have to explain this to you all. Come on now. You walked into somebody's house. You were not invited. You killed somebody in the commencement of the burglary. You all aren't listening. I haven't even read the whole affidavit, and I got enough sense to know that. That's why he's charged with the charges. You killed people in the act of a burglary. That's why the burglary is a felony.
Mm-hmm.
Because people died. Makes me think she had a secret relation with the killer. You all just want to say that. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I ain't saying it. All I'm saying is the behavior is strange to me.
Yes, that's
That's
what
what
I'm
I'm
gonna
going to say. I'm
Yeah.
just going to say that the behavior is strange of the survivor to not call 911 if indeed she felt something suspicious about the person walking out of the house. That's what's strange to me.
Yes, that's what I'm gonna say too, because I'm not going to blame her and put her in it because I don't know. I wasn't there. But
Well, it doesn't matter. You're grown enough to know if you're frozen in shock, you're frozen in shock for a reason, then you should possibly call 911. I don't give a damn that they're 20. Yeah, I call them kids, but I got enough sense to say, well, if I felt fear, I'm going to call somebody because I'm fearful.
and I will call.
That just makes no sense to say. It's no different if I came in here right now and somebody was standing in here. I'm just going to let them walk out and then don't call 911. Listen to what you're saying.
I just don't understand about that part about her not calling 911. I don't know. Because I think I would have. I don't know because I've never been in that situation. But I don't think I would have waited.
Okay, let's talk about that because this is where I'm starting to get pissed off. Everybody keeps talking about situation. You didn't know nobody was dead, so what's the situation? Think. See, I'm a thinker. That's the difference with me and a lot of people. I listen at what has been said, whether it's true or not. So you have to listen at the wording. What is the situation if I don't know somebody's dead?
I don't know the situation.
Oh, she froze because of the situation. Well, she didn't know nobody was dead. Remember, she didn't find out somebody was dead till noon. So I'm going to ask, what is the situation? Why am I frozen in shock when people run in and out of this house all the time? People party. So ask yourself, when was the last party at this house? Did they get a warning from the landlord about partying too much and noise? So you have to ask all those questions. See, I listen. And when I listen at the word shock to me means somebody is here that's not supposed to be here. Yes. So why would I not say, well, let me go shut my door and call one of the girls to see if they know this person that just walked out of here with a surgical mask on?
My very thought also. And if you heard someone crying and you heard them say, I'm going to take.
Well, that's what Fairy Dust is saying. She heard crying and a guy comes out. She didn't order anything from DoorDash. See, you all don't even listen. Xana is the one that ordered food. Okay, I'm going to ask you all this. Why would you keep going out your room 3 times? I'll wait. I've had enough of this bullshit right here. You just keep going on and on. Just stop.
Do you want me to drop down, Queen?
No, you're right.
Okay.
This girl goes out her door 3 times, and as somebody in the chat says, you ought to have an instinct. Your instinct is what made you open the door 3 times. Stay woke. So y'all aren't listening. You wake up and go to your door 3 times, or you're up and you go to your door 3 times, but you don't ever go out the door to go look for anybody or knock on the door to make sure they're okay. You never call any of the roommates to make sure they're okay. You don't even call 911 after seeing somebody and you're allegedly frozen. You think this makes sense. This makes no sense. And I'm not accusing the roommate of anything. I'm just saying her actions are suspicious. 3 times is a lot of time to go out the door and don't even call the roommates just to say, hey, what's up? Or send a text message. Hey, I saw some creepy guy, or I saw a guy with a face mask. Was this your friend? Did you invite somebody over? And I'm going to say it again. Why would you not lock the glass slider back? Stay woke. Why would you not lock the slider back? If he ran out or walked out, soon as I thought he was out that door, don't you think I'd go run and lock the slider?
I would have.
Because if I don't suspect him as a thief, or what's the problem with locking the slider? You still got the slider open. See, this is why I'm telling you, oh, you're not listening. So what? You went back in your room and shut your door. He could still went and bust the door open. Who's to stop him? Damn. Exactly, Cindy, in case he wanted to come back. They don't listen.
Whew.
That's why you can't say, oh, you don't know what she was going through. She wasn't going through nothing. Because if I had fear, I would call 911. You got to read what the person is saying. This is the version she's giving the police. So you can argue all you want. This is her version. This ain't Angela's version. This is her version. She don't suspect nothing going on. Then why are you out your door 3 times? Why didn't you think to go lock the damn slider back if you up 3 times? You're frozen. Why would you be frozen when people are coming in and out your house any damn way? They throw parties all the time. You didn't call the roommates to check nothing. Nothing. And who was the person that put the rumor out that you found Ethan? Why would that person put that rumor out on your behalf first time out the gate?
And is that because when he got locked up, did he asked, is there anyone else? Because
we don't even know if he got locked up yet. By my understanding, that question was asked. He could have answered that at the house when they went there and apprehended him. So we don't know if it was asked at the house or while he was at the jail.
Okay. This is wild. It's going to be wilder.
Tracy, good point. Which time did she become frozen in shock? First time she opened the door, second or third? No, she opened the door 3 times. So I think the 3rd round is when she saw the perpetrator leaving. Round 3 of the door opening is when she saw the perpetrator. So that's when she was allegedly shocked, frozen shock.
Oh my.
Exactly, Eddie. All those kids on the body cam, September 1st, why would you be shocked about anybody walking through the house? Is it because you're shocked that there weren't a lot of people and he's the only one by himself? And you hear that she didn't see no other perpetrator, so we can't even say that he had a co-conspirator in the house at that time. Andrea, good point. What about the other girl? Exactly. Did she go ring her room, knock on her door, wake her up? Because allegedly they were together when the bodies was found per the rumor. Remember? When Ethan was allegedly discovered. It's very off.
Very strange. Very strange.
Let me tell you something. With this information being released, it's worse now than it was when people were making up stuff trying to figure out who's on first, who's on second.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Well, that's why I asked the question. What were the lights on or off when she was standing in her doorway? Were her lights on or off in her room? Bingo card. See, you all got to ask the questions. You all don't ask the questions. The perpetrator's walking by me Is he walking by me? In front of me? She said towards me. So towards me means he would be coming from the glass door. But how is he
And
walking towards me if he's leaving?
maybe she got her when she was giving her statement, she got confused.
This is why I tell you to please listen to the wordings. You walk towards me. You can't walk towards me and be beside me. Towards me means you stood in front of me or feet away in front of me and we're face to face. That's what towards means. Stay woke. Towards her would be coming from the glass slider, not going out of the slider. So how can it be both? It cannot. It cannot be both. You either were walking down the stairs from the third floor after killing the girls, and you looked at me standing in the doorway and let me pass. You gave me a pass. Or you were entering in the first time, and I saw you and I stood there and looked at you, shut my door. Or you were coming from Xana's room on your way out to leave, which means I've been looking to my right, and we locked eyes, or my door was either open or ajar, and you still gave me a pass and left out. That's what I want to know. Were her lights on? Exactly. Well, that's a good point. You left the witness behind. Did you try to find the witness? Did you ever try to contact the witness, Mr. Bryan? Did you go back at 9:30 to try to kill the witnesses? Did he know how many girls lived in the house at the time of the murder? Could be Andrea. Very good point, Andrea. Is it possible Ellie is putting this information out like this for a reason? Could be still looking for more information. Well, they said they want more information pertaining to Mr. Bryan. She saw him come in first time with mask. Weird. It's that cold outside. Well, it's not a ski mask, Mr. Duke. It's a surgical mask, what we have cleared up. Nose and mouth. So that would be a mask going over here, eyebrows showing. He left his house at 2:47. He left Pullman, Washington, 2:47. I brought all that information at the beginning of this live stream. If you need verification for the timeline of this crime, please go back to the beginning of this live. You have two sources of information pertaining to the timeline: Crime and Law Network and CBS News. You also have verification that the girls allegedly, this Dylan person lived on the second floor. But when the rumors were out in the beginning, it said she lived on the bottom. That's why I said you didn't know what to believe, because the police weren't talking to tell us who's on first, who's on second, who lived where. I always thought the two girls lived on the bottom that survived, because people had rumors that it was a basement. It was no basement. Now we're hearing that one of the girls lived on the second floor and not the first floor. So when did she actually see the perpetrator? Number one, number two, number three. What is her version towards the police versus the rumors that were told? Because remember, I asked you all that when I first started covering this case. The rumors told to the public about coming out of the house and seeing Ethan lying in a common space. What did she tell the police? She and her other roommate. How do you know she ordered takeout? Nobody said she ordered takeout. Xana ordered takeout. 4 a.m. So that's another thing. Who is serving up food at 4 a.m. in this small town? Was this the grub bus? Was the grub bus still working at 4 a.m? Why do you need a poster board? It's quite simple. The timeline's been revealed. He left his house at 2:47. After 2 a.m, he left his house, made his way to Moscow. He obviously cut his phone off or didn't have cell service. Entered the house. It took about 20 minutes. He left out. And about 4:48, he gets service back on his phone, clocking him at Pullman, Washington. Thank you, Cindy. Xana fought. She was feet away. She didn't hear that. Well, whether Xana fought or not, we know Ethan would have fought him. He's a man. So you want me to believe you didn't hear a struggle? See, it's even worse now. This is why I keep telling you have to think about the information that's being brought to you. You're not on the first floor listening or sleep. You're now on the second floor as an eyewitness, and you didn't hear an altercation on the second floor between Xana, Ethan, and the killer. A thud. It would be more than a thud, I think. Well, we don't know who was crying. It is obviously, if there's DoorDash, that means they checked the victims' telephones. You all aren't listening. Everything's been verified through cell phone data. That's how they know that Xana was up. She ordered food. It would be on her phone. Lord have mercy. She was up. But what's strange is the fact that the roommate can't decide if it was Xana crying or Kaylee crying. But that makes no sense because don't you know your roommate's voices? So was your door closed when you thought you heard someone whimpering and crying? No mention of Maddie crying. I find that interesting. Oh, I can't tell if it's Kaylee or Xana crying, but no mentioning of Maddie crying. Stay woke. See, I listen. Some of you are not listening. That's why I keep trying to tell you, everything about a story is built on the version given. You pay attention to the version given. Sometimes you can listen to the he said, she said, the gossip, but you don't weigh on that until you get a receipt. You're on the floor where the killer has killed 2 people. You have been out your room 3 times to verify the killer walking out. How would you not hear him fighting 2 people? I would think it would be loud. If 2 people are in the bed together, whether one is up watching TV eating, somebody is going to be screaming unless he went straight into the room and cut the throats of the victims. But she heard crying and whimpering, so who was crying and whimpering? That means somebody was dead, dying, and couldn't get help. So you heard crying from either upstairs or around the corner to the right, which would be Xana's room. So you heard crying from either Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. Well, Charlotte, we don't know where he cut them. If your neck is cut, you're not going to be crying or screaming. But we hear audio from a house which is next door, 50 feet from Xana's room. Audio picks up crying, whimpering, and a dog barking. 4:17 a.m. This is horrific. Yes, it is. Well, that's why we're saying you don't argue about if somebody screamed or not. You're just speculating if somebody screamed or not. All I'm saying is we now have verification of somebody on the floor where witnesses died. If their necks were not cut, then I would assume they'd be screaming and fussing and tussling. You would hear something. Somebody being slammed against a wall, bed banging up against a wall, if indeed there's a headboard. See, you have to think about all those types of things. Lamp falling over, something. 2 people slaughtered on the floor and walked right by her room up to the upstairs and skipped her room, going up and going down. Twice lucky. Yes. So then you have to ask the question, this girl has been fortunate to survive a killer going up and down stairs. Very good point. Why were you not chosen? And was it because your door was locked and the other victims' doors were unlocked? What type of lock did they have on their door? Were their doors locked at the time of the murders? Good questions. Thank you, Cindy. Andy, you all are keeping me on my toes. I like people who think. I'm a heavy thinker, as somebody once told me. A classmate said that to me a few months ago. He says, you're very analytical. You think. You're a heavy thinker. I am a heavy thinker because I think about everything that's being said. And sometimes I overlook things that's sitting right in front of me. So sometimes I have to go back and assess this, the information. But I am a thinker, and that is the only way you can get to the truth. Is to dissect the information that's been given to you and know that because you're getting information, it does not mean it's the truth because it's somebody's version. And what did I tell you the other day during the live stream? You are only worth your word. That is all you're worth. So if I tell you I went to France for 2 days, you either believe me or you don't. Now, somebody may believe me, somebody may not. Somebody might question me and say, I need a receipt for you to prove you went to Paris, France. It's up to me if I want to say, it's none of your damn business. I don't owe you an explanation. Stay woke. Thank you, Laura. I still can't understand how she didn't phone any of the HMS to see was anyone else hearing exactly. Thank you, Charlotte. Exactly. Why would you not call any of the other girls to ask about the person in the mask? Number 1. Why didn't you lock the glass slider if you thought something was suspicious with the person exiting out? Why is this person walking by you and not trying to kill you? He was that tired. He didn't have it in him anymore. He's killed 4. But yet you're leaving an eyewitness that can identify you by your eyebrows. I don't know. Very interesting, Ebony. What reaction would she have had if he tried the doorknob? Exactly. Did he try to get in her room? Did he go downstairs to the first floor and look in those rooms? Were all those rooms locked? You all said something about storage. I don't have verification of that. The roommate on the first floor, did she have her door locked? Somebody says, do you believe that is all she saw? At this point, it's grainy to me. Because if I use the word shocked, that means I didn't expect to see the person in my house. So then that would lead me to call my other roommates, since I share the house with other people. If I was single and lived there, I would be a fool to go back and shut my door and not dial 911. So either way, it is suspect. It wouldn't have taken much energy to kill her. One stab as he walked past would have killed her. Yes, Charlotte, I agree. I'm not here to accuse the surviving roommates of anything nefarious or felonious. I'm only chopping up the information that has been revealed through the affidavit. And I'm going to chop it up because that's what I do. I'm a commentary channel. Many people were questioning this before we even knew that the girl room was on the second floor. Let's keep it real. And now that you tell the world that you opened your door 3 times, you heard noises and sounds, you saw the perpetrator walk by you but was frozen, you should know that people are going to dissect and question your commentary and your truthfulness in the information. And why did he spare you? Considering he walked into this house illegally and killed 4 innocent children. Why would he not kill you? What was special about you to preserve your life? And naturally, the parents are going to start to wonder that. Why would they not? Why did he save this kid? She saw what he looked like and he spared her. Why? So Mr. Gonsalves has been very ripe during this investigation. You think he's not going to be right now wondering why this girl was spared? And she saw him? It's one thing to be in a room and the door was locked. He didn't try the room doors. But he saw you allegedly. But he spared you. Annie, good point. The house has a lot of traffic. Why open the door 3 times on this night? Exactly. She froze, obviously was scared, went to her room. Maybe phone wasn't there, but as soon as it was daylight, I would be out of that window on the ledge and leave. No, you know damn well her phone was there. Come on, you guys, stop playing games. You know damn well her phone was there. Why would her phone not be in her room? She's a young person. You all live by your cell phones, young people. And you older ones, like myself, you live by your phone. Yeah. I can bet you right now, most of you sleep with your cell phone right beside your bed or in your bed. Same thing with a young person. You're not going to make me believe she didn't have a working cell phone. I doubt it. Ago says he was playing God. He decided who lived that day. Well, we have learned that with killers, that they have spared people, such in mass shootings. The guy who shot the people in Walmart recently spared the one girl who was new. He killed the other people in the break room, but he spared her. He pointed the gun to her, but then he told her to get on. Okay, you said, oh, I think her phone was there. I mean, if that is what she says. Well, that's the whole point, home, is that everything's about the version given. She didn't know the Xana body when she woke up to pee. Well, Cindy, we don't know if she went to the bathroom, but somebody asked that question about 2 weeks ago. Did the girls get up to go use the restroom? But I think each floor has its own restroom, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he could have spared her, but it's Dylan's reaction to it that doesn't add up. Okay. I was just about to say that sometimes they do inexplainable things. I can definitely see him sparing one. Yes, he could have spared her. If we're to believe her version, then she was spared. Thank you for joining me. You are now listening to The Vault. Let's talk about evidence in the car. Thank you for joining me. I want to get this information out of here before I check out of here. May go back live a little later. It's just 7:51. Her floor, bathroom by kitchen. Okay. Law and Crime Network is the source. Bryan Kohberger's Hyundai won't escape forensics. Mr. Scott Morgan. I like him. Let's hear what he has to say about the car.
And I would imagine if they haven't done it already, they may have done this in Pennsylvania. They are going to request from him some type of biological sample. And generally that's going to consist of them doing a buccal mucosal swab or a cheek scraping. Some people refer to it as that, to collect it from the specific source. And so they're going to go back as a confirmatory at that point in time to, kind of shore things up. Here's one more piece to this that we have to keep in mind. There's a whole bounty of evidence.
Very good point, Pink.
And one of the things I'm very interested in as a forensic science guy is that car, because in my opinion, that car did not make it back to Idaho. More than likely, either working with Pennsylvania State Police or the FBI, that vehicle would have gone or has gone to an evidence processing location that has a garage, Jesse. And right now, they are taking this thing apart from stem to stern. Trust me on this. And they are going through that car because I have contended all along that this car, obviously it's going to have Kohberger's DNA in it. You would expect that to be there. But if they get in that car and they find any DNA that's associated with these poor kids that were slaughtered in that house, this is important. My contention has been is that car is a rolling crime scene in and of itself. And it has to be handled with kid gloves at this point. So they're going to take this thing apart piece by piece, and they're going to use every kind of technology that you can imagine on this thing, everything from alternative lighting, the luminol or blue star or whatever they're using. They're going to take samples from all inside.
Thank you for joining us, man.
The headliners coming out, the seats are coming out.
Thank you, Sean.
The gear lever. They're going to take a look at the carpet, the substrata beneath the carpet, everything, because it doesn't matter how hard you try to clean one of these things, you are not going to escape what we're capable of doing in forensics and recovering molecular evidence.
And so much of this affidavit is based on the car, is based on cameras capturing the car, seeing who it was registered to, seeing the movements of the car, having it track back to key locations of Bryan Kohberger. I agree with you. That could be a rolling crime scene. Obviously, my concern would be it wasn't like they picked the car up the next day. It's been out for a while. Obviously, there could be problems there.
Okay,
Joseph, you want to jump on that real quick?
Yeah, I agree. However, the thing about it is this. If we're thinking perhaps if this car in fact was used as the conveyance to take him back to Pullman after those alleged events that night, there's a high probability, given the intimate nature of these killings, that he would have been super saturated with evidence, and that is going to transfer into the fabric, just the fabric alone. That's the only part I'm considering right now, not to mention all these points of contact. There's no way, there's a lot of stuff that will be kind of protected in this environment, and all it takes is to draw just a bit of DNA that's connected back to these victims. How's the defense going to explain that away? How do you explain, you might be able to do it with one person, but if you get a collection of 4 individuals that you've never met or they've never crossed paths, how do you explain that away inside the interior of that vehicle, particularly if it's evidence-rich blood evidence? That's the richest DNA that we can get.
Yeah, and
thank you, Judy.
That's a good point. I mean, really, when you break it down in terms of what that car has really become one of the most central focus of this case.
Law and Crime Network is a source. Very good information there, Mr. Joseph Scott Morgan. Thank you for commenting. The car poses evidentiary in this case. Thank you all for watching and tuning in and giving your commentary. I appreciate it. The car is pivotal because when you get in your car, you touch all types of surfaces inside of your car, and you leave a blueprint behind. So imagine you get in a car bloody. You have gotten in with bloody clothes on, bloody shoes. And they are spraying that car or have sprayed the car with luminol since seizing it last week. What will the car reveal pertaining to the victims and the perpetrator? Annie, very good point. Maybe he did try to look for it. I don't know. But the car is very pivotal because you know they sprayed that car with luminol and it probably lit up like a Christmas tree. You can't thoroughly clean a car because you shed hair. And he came from a crime scene that was bloody from victims. And he probably brought back skin cells, blood, sweats from himself, the girls, the guy, dog hair. There was a dog at the scene. And he could have vacuumed it down the best he thought, wiped down the surfaces of the car, steering wheel, the door panel, the door handle. But we know he's not thorough because he left behind his fingerprint on the button on the sheath. Because naturally, when he bought the knife didn't come in the sheath originally. It probably was handed to him. He looked it over. Yes, I want this knife. The knife was put in the sheath. You had to touch the sheath before you decided that you were going to go on this killing spree. Stay woke. Okay? So you put the knife in the sheath. You're touching it. You're bringing it home and whatever. You bought it in a bag, box. You pulled it out to look at it, talk to it. You told the knife what you were going to do with him. Stay woke. Hey, we're going to have a little fun in Moscow, Idaho soon. I came to the Pacific Northwest to play funny games with some unsuspecting victims. And you're going to aid me in my fun. So he's touched the knife, touched the sheath, the packaging to put the knife in, and he forgot about it. But on that night of the planning, he didn't think. Even if he wore gloves, the DNA was signed, sealed, and delivered, unbeknownst to Bryan Kohberger. And he carried this knife to the scene of the crime, 1122 King Road. And he had no inkling that he was going to leave behind the carrying case with his blueprint on it. God is good. Because God said, I'm not going to let you get away with this, Mr. Kohberger. I owe you one. You've been seen on surveillance. You've been riding around this neighborhood for God knows how long. I've got your phone data. When you left Pullman, when you rode around looking for the victims to attack. I got all your data on your cell phone and devices, computer. Because you thought you were slick, but you weren't. You're riding around and turning in circles on King Road. What's the matter? You got nervous? You got beside yourself. Couldn't even turn your damn car around. Ting! Somebody saw that. The house that the Queen has talked about to the left of the building. I told you that house would be instrument in this investigation. I said it all along. That house holds the key to what happened inside of that home with those kids. And by the grace of God, they have a doorbell camera. That's who saw the girls come home in the first place. I tell you, Queen woke. So I pay attention. You see, you were never in the clear. Now, how did you leave, Mr. Kohberger? Did you leave out the glass door as The eyewitness said, but when you left out the glass, second floor slider, did you go around to the front, to the drive, or did you go up to the back, park your car at that parking lot with the apartments, or you went up through the woods to Walenta, so on and so forth? Where did you park your car? Where did you park your car? You see, you a fool. Because you thought you had planned this out thoroughly. You had not. 50 ways to kill a person. 100 ways to get caught. You see, God favored those children in the end. He knew the plan. It was an unfair, diabolical plan to snuff out 4 children. But God had the last say. He told you. Now, Bryan, you're not getting ready to walk around here free long. And you're not going to take any more of my children. Because I'm the overseer of this land, not you. And that is why he wanted to go back to Moscow, Idaho. I believe that he had to see the blueprint. I want to see how they caught me. I got to see how they caught me. Because I thought I was big and bad. I got a God complex. But little did he know, he ain't the waymaker. He been working for the devil for free. And the devil don't pay you nothing. But Bryan didn't know that. He's been walking around here bitter and angry. Mad at the world for no damn reason. And we all can get in our feelings about stuff, how we've been treated and looked over. But we don't have the right to snuff out innocent people. And that's where he messed up. Because he became cocky and arrogant. And he thought his shit didn't stink. And that is how he got caught. So he rushed back on that little small airplane to hear what the prosecution had against him. And he knows he fucked up. He knows this. But he's not going to show you he knows he fucked up. But the jaw was clenching. While he sat at that table, Queen was watching. It just kept clenching and clenching. They got me. They got me. So I'm going to say this to Mr. Kohberger before I check out of here. Do yourself a favor and the family and the community a favor. Plead guilty to the burglary charge and all 4 counts of murder and save the taxpayers a lengthy trial and shenanigans and bullshit at your expense and theirs. And let the family move on to grieve properly. Because you know you killed those kids. You now know the evidence they have against you, and probably more. Just do yourself a favor and the world a favor and bow out. And you can get your 5 minutes of fame later with people that want to come to the prison and interview you and write books and documentaries about your jacked up ass life and your jacked up ass family life. You can get all that glory later, and Netflix can come find you to get the rights to your story. Do all that later. But give these people peace of mind now and plead guilty. Because you caught, baby. You are caught. Because you were so busy thinking about self-gratification and being angry with the world, you didn't plan the crime properly. You left behind some goodies. Did you cut yourself, Bryan? Because some people think you cut your right arm right in there. Thank you, Happy Camper. Did you cut yourself right in there, baby? Did you cut yourself right in there? Mighty big knife. You took a lot of people down. You did a lot of slashing and gashing, gouging. You possibly cut yourself. And they're going to look at all of that. And I'm sure that will be evidentiary into this investigation and trial as well. Any type of wounds you sustained during the murders of the Idaho 4 students. Every little thing you ever did is going to be put on Front Street. Every lie you ever told, everything you did from childhood to high school to college, whatever you like to eat, don't eat, all that's going to be put on Front Street. And before I leave out of here, I want to say this to Moscow Police Department and Pennsylvania Jail. You don't owe Bryan Kohberger shit about a fucking vegan diet. He needs to eat whatever you got in that damn jail. And the fact that you want to sit up here and talk about going into the town of Moscow to feed him a vegan diet, are you high? He snuffed out 4 kids. He will eat whatever you got to give. People go to jail every day that are Muslim, Arabic, and you ain't feeding them no fucking special diet. So you are showing utter disrespect to everybody else that's trifling and fucked up and jacked up that went to prison too. You don't owe him nothing. And if I were the people of Moscow, I would raise hell if they see you going somewhere special to get him some fucking extra food, vegetables. Who gives a shit? They shouldn't have done it in Pennsylvania, and you don't have a right to cater to him. He killed 4 kids, and that's his punishment, is to ride the ride all the way out. And if all you eating for lunch is peanut butter and jelly, then that's what the fuck he'll eat. Or he won't eat. You don't show no favor to nobody in there. He ain't sick. He ain't diabetical. He don't got a heart problem. He don't got a feeding tube. He'll eat what you got. Or he don't fucking eat it all. There will be some loonies plus his family that will put money on his commissary, and he can eat Doritos and Cheetos till he's blue in the damn face. I don't give a damn. But you didn't have the right to say you will go out into the town to get him a vegan damn diet. That is so disrespectful to the dead. It's disrespectful to the parents. It's disrespectful to the community. It's disrespectful to the other inmates. And if I was anybody in Moscow, I would raise holy hell with the city council, the jail, the sheriff, and let them know. Now, you've caused enough hell pertaining to this investigation. Don't make it worse by giving him a special diet. He ain't worthy. And you know he's not. And you don't even got enough people in the jail to be differentiating who gets what to eat. Prayers to the victims' families. I want to thank you for following this content and this network. Happy New Year to all of you. This is my birthday month, so I'm feeling mighty, mighty fine. That's why I dialed up today for this great news pertaining to Mr. Kohberger. God had a plan, and it will see its way out till the end. And I pray he will fold and plead guilty and end this shenanigans pertaining to this trial. I may possibly come back on later so you can come up and give your opinion pertaining to the information. But there should be no favoritism because he didn't favor the four. He didn't favor the four. And it is utter disrespect to them to give him any special privileges while in the Moscow County Jail. And I will gladly put up a petition to change.org for there to be no special privileges for this motherfucker. He eat or he don't eat. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. Thank you for the stickers in the chats. God bless all of you. Justice for the Idaho 4. Xana, Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee. And prayers for the survivors. Because I wasn't there in that house, and I don't know what actually took place. Who was first, who was last. But I know 2 was spared for whatever reason. And you all need to go about your journey being grateful and being humbled that you were spared. Because without the surveillance of the White Elantra, Bryan Kohberger would still be free. And everybody needs to think about that. That thing could still be free. Thank you. You've been listening to The Vault.